I'll send it to you.
There's
We're live.
Yeah, it's not unique to
built
me.
it to slide on.
I like to see it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. Hey, we're going to hang out for the first 5 minutes. At 5 minutes, I'm going to read the rules of the live stream. Once the room fills up, we have gotten to the point where we now require rules for the live stream.
We're like a long ship, like
Yeah, there's.
Is this
We're
not
not-
how to get kicked out?
We're like, no, we're pulling oars on the long ship. We're not our own long ship. We're pulling oars on the long ship. Yeah, this is like the how to get kicked out of class slide in refuge medical training. Bok choy, shalom. Bok choy, you're delicious, man. I like you. You're very good in stir fries. Do you like bok choy? You eat a lot of vegetables. Yeah?
Yeah.
You're a fan?
Yeah.
I like it. Is bok choy,
Anything
is it a
green.
lettuce or is it cruciferous? Where does
It's
it fall?
cruciferous.
It is, it's cruciferous.
What is cruciferous?
Broccoli,
Broccoli
cauliflower,
family.
cauliflower.
Broccoli?
All right, rules for me, bro. We got to tone it down on that. You got to give me words I understand, like, ugh.
Shalom, Sister Dudley.
There you go.
Peanut butter.
Hurry up.
Peanut butter is not cruciferous, I
No,
believe.
it's not.
You're gonna die.
But that's not one of the only words you
What did we
understand.
decide this morning that you need to say other than
That's what
Huh?
it is.
no?
You're not gonna die?
You're not gonna die. Hurry up, hurry up.
I can't tell them that. They got to think they're nothing.
Of course, that's your whole job. That's your whole job. Truckers' new fundraiser frozen by Canadian government. Ah, dude, it's gonna happen. Leoch, shalom. Ken Clark, Charles Sutton, Bama Blue Eyes, Just Bob. Different Bob, but that's just Bob. Not Bug Out Bob, just Bob. Hey, what's up, Jeremiah?
Dustin needs to pick a class.
Dustin, pick a class, Dustin.
They're up.
Dustin, pick a class, man. You don't want to lose the awesome giveaway that you won. Dustin won free training, man, and $1,000 for travel. $1,000 for a stipend and free
Any
training.
class.
Any class in the country. So, Dustin, get on it.
Essential responder.
Get on it, or I'm going to have to arm wrestle you for it. One or the other. Hey, what's up, Billy Hill?
Oh, we said that.
Waiting for my free crack pipe kit. Well, that's the kind of thing that'll get you kicked off of this channel. So, all right then.
Yeah.
Rule number one.
Mine's just to give them away.
The porch spatula is magnificent. Coal miner's daughter. Shalom, sister. I'm glad. See, I told you the
That's all it
spatula
does.
was the #1 thing that had to get in the giveaway on Patreon. We've had a spatula on the porch from 2 Sukkots ago. And I'm like, nobody claimed this spatula. I'm like, I don't want it. And there's nothing wrong with it.
It went around the office a few times.
Did it? I didn't know it traveled in the
Someone
office.
seed, And then
Oh
someone
yeah.
Covered in bacon grease.
computer.
No,
and
it's clean.
I mean, big
it's been
Yeah,
hidden
big bag.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, coal miner's daughter, the commitment here is you have to make pancakes with it.
There's so many fingerprints on that.
There are.
I would wash it first.
What's up, Bare Metal? Good evening, everybody. Heading out to get folks ready to coup hemp. Fluster Cluck Farms. I almost did it. Oh, every time. Every time. Every time. That's awesome. Hola, Bear from California. Gabriela Rodriguez. Shalom. I don't know how you shalom in Espanol, but shalomo. Chad, what's up, Chad?
Oh, shalom.
Vester Dillon, the superhero of Bear Nation. He leaps from tall buildings. Crack pipe is the new government thing going on. Okay. I guess I didn't read the news today. I was doing things today.
It's part
So
of Biden's build everyone higher.
is that what it is?
Make everyone higher.
It actually is a thing, yeah.
Did you see the bobsled team change the name of the bobsled?
No.
Called it the Brandon. Nothing's taking Americans down faster than the Brandon.
Oh
Where's Tony
goodness.
just came up with that?
No, it's a bean.
I guarantee you a government crack pipe isn't going to work. Like it's not even going to work.
I mean, they pay people in California not to kill people, so.
Any chance of Florida being a destination for any classes? Hey, we'll talk to the training team about potential classes in Florida in just a moment. The room's relatively full. It's at the 5-minute mark. So let me shalom to all the folks. If you're new here, you probably inherently or I'm sorry, if you've been here for a while, you probably inherently understand these rules. If you're new here, we have some rules. So for the benefit of the live stream, here are the rules of the live stream. First rule, this is a PG-13 show. We're not going to say all the bad words, but we might say a few of them. And so if you are one of those people that lets your children listen to bear content, there might be a few words in here. So police yourselves. Rule number 2, since we addressed the 4-letter word thing, don't be a dick. Okay. Which leads to rule number 3, no excessive swearing. Rule number
I take back my comment about this being the slide for training. It's not the same.
No, this is a little different.
You would improve training.
Tommy would like a free pass on the excessive swearing.
Yeah, well, that's why the microphone is
You're allowed-
very far away from you.
You're allowed 12, maybe 13.
Okay. Rule number 4. Civil conversation is encouraged in the chat. Okay, civil conversation is encouraged. No name calling, be cool to one another, but absolutely have a civil discourse in the chat, which leads to rule number 5. Moderators, it's okay if there's people in the chat that disagree with us as long as they're disagreeing respectfully. Okay, so if somebody makes a comment that is not something that we would inherently agree with, we don't have to immediately silence and ban that person. Okay, as long as they're being respectful, that's fine. Next, if you have questions, and that's the whole point of this, is to do Q&A, questions and answers. So if you have questions, please put them in all caps so that I can see them. Now, the chat goes by very fast, and I'm not always looking at it, so I may not see it. Even then, if I do see it, that doesn't mean I'm going to answer it, but put your questions in all caps, okay? Next, and trust me, we're almost done. Next, jerks will be banned after the first warning. It's not 3 strikes and you're out. You will be banned after the first warning. In fact, I pretty much just do live streams now to filter out all the jerks from the Bear Nation so that we can block you. So if that's you and you just feel like being a jerk, understand that the ban hammer will be inbound 4,000 miles per hour into your forehead. It's not a democracy here. It's my porch. You're at my house, and we're going to behave per my rules. Okay? Everybody good? Good. Last thing I'm going to say before we start the show is I am going to be promoting hardcore the wound care bucket from refugemedical.com. It's going to sell out. And so I've been telling you all for a while, I'm going to do a thing with the bucket. That's the thing that I've been hinting at. I'm going to do a thing with a bucket. And when I do, they're going to sell out and you're not going to be able to get them. So I'm telling you right now, you can go to refugemedical.com and you can use promo code BUCKET. If you get 2 of them, you get $25 off. Okay. Additionally, you can use promo code BEARNATION on everything in the store at refugemedical.com. Made in America, guaranteed forever, exceeds mil spec, 33 lives saved. Okay.
But not together.
Yes, you cannot use both promo codes. You can use one or the other. You could do 2 different orders. You could get your 25 off 2 buckets and then order whatever else you want with promo code Bear Nation. So that's the rules. Bear, could you and the Bear Nation use a good lifting harness for wheelbarrows and heavy stuff? I appreciate that, but I don't think we need that. I appreciate it though. Garen Clackley, can you repeat the rules again? Negative. Somebody said.
Somebody wanted to see my hat.
It says, love my tribe.
Yes.
And I would agree.
Shirt.
Yes.
Ungovernable capital.
The first 100 ungovernable capital shirts shipped today.
Yeah.
And so
Unprecedented.
Y'all bought so many t-shirts on day 1 that you broke the internet. So they're shipping. Jerry and Lucia at sanctifiedsupplyco.com are literally moving as fast as they can while still putting out a quality product.
They do a great job.
They do.
They do mine too.
But yeah, they also do the Here I Am Send Me shirts, and David used to rock. I use the Glock shirts from Shield Bearer of Faith, which, by the way, Shield Bearer of Faith here, Stalwart Peacekeeper, JP, Homie Biscuits, Sister Renee, Liberty's over there, and then Faux Daddy's over there, and then I'm the bear. So you know me. You've seen the channel before, I'm sure. Lonely Mountain Cowboy, shalom, bless you. Shalom, Hans. Train how you live, ? Anything I should know about bringing my EDC to class? Yes, don't shoot the instructors, but they'll address that. They'll address that with you. How's Granny's floor going? Granny's floor is going well. We closed up the real egregious portions of it prior to it getting really cold here, and then we're going to start again on the less terrible portions once it gets warm again. Thank you for asking. How about to get roughly 20K inheritance to start my homestead in Western Oklahoma? Harley Daniel, that's awesome. Best brand of 5.56, doesn't matter, whatever you can get right now. If you're talking about training ammo, I mean, steel case 55 grain. If you're talking about like precision 5.56, Hornady, although they've done some dumb things recently, Hornady owns Frontier, don't they?
They do.
Yep.
I'm still not buying any of it.
I've seen IMI 77 grain.
Yes.
Boat tail.
Yep.
I saw it.
This
for, I
is
think,
this is me
$1
getting out of
Yep.
the shot so y'all can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw
By the way,
same
can
thing
you
online.
hear them? Go ahead.
Maybe.
Yeah, we were just saying that the 77 grain by IMI, I just saw the same thing online. It was about $1 and change around. I
But
don't know
they're
what
in
the
stock.
shipping was though.
Yeah, but they're in stock.
But I've also never shot that either, so I can't even testify to that one.
So,
So-
the IMI 77 grain boat tail is the same as the Black Hills 77 grain, which is what the military,
Yep.
all branches of the military use for
Some-
precision shooting.
The Mark 272 round.
Yeah.
Yep. Privy Partisan, their match ammo, their bulk ammo, their stock ammo is stock ammo. It's the same as Winchester White Box essentially, but their match ammo has done really well for me. Their 69 grain 5.56 and their 168 grain boat tail hollow point 308, both are very good rounds, and they're comparably, when compared to other loadings, other manufacturers, they're quite affordable. Affordable is a relative term. Had I known, 3 years ago, I would literally would have taken every single dollar that I had and bought 5.56 and 9mm ammo, and we'd be having this conversation on the back of my yacht right now. When Palmetto you could get 1,000 rounds in an ammo can with 10 PMags for $200, $199, and then occasionally that would go in the daily special for $139. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would have burned tens of thousands of dollars at $139 per thousand, because it's $600 per thousand right now, and the mags are still $12 to $15 a piece. So affordable is relative, but it really depends on what you're doing. Training ammo, just get 55 or 62 grain, brass or steel case, doesn't matter. Precision ammunition, it's going to cost you more money. So
And dry fire a
And-
lot.
Clean your gun.
Yes.
Isaac Barrett asked a question.
yes.
Can you elaborate on baptism? Who can do it? What should be said,
Oh, boy.
and why?
There we go.
Can
This
you?
was a topic recently.
This
Yeah.
this
Wait,
was
wait,
recently.
What happened, y'all?
This was recently a topic.
Shield bearer.
Can you elaborate on baptism? Who can do it? Anyone. It does not need to be a priest or a pastor or a rabbi. Baptism, by the way, predates Yeshua, Jesus's ministry. Before that, it was what was called a mikvah, which is a ritual cleansing in water. And that's why John the Baptist was baptizing people in the Jordan River before Yeshua was even anointed. In fact, it's once he's baptized that the Spirit descends upon him like a dove, and he receives that anointing. Transition to blanket. Go.
Well, and
Go ahead.
so, the reason that the Yehudi came to John the Baptist saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" is because he wasn't doing it where they typically do it, and he was doing it while telling people that the Messiah was coming.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was baptizing when Yeshua says, John, you should baptize me to fulfill all righteousness. If you read that very carefully in John chapter 1, the reason for that is that the Father told John to go baptize in the Jordan River to find the Messiah.
Yep.
And so John crazy long-haired locust-eating dude, wearing camel hair out in the desert goes to the Jordan River to start baptizing people because he's looking for the Messiah. And so all that to say, baptism predates the ministry of Yeshua. But I think the question that you're asking gets back to there's only one name by which you can be saved, by which you should be baptized. And we can argue the name back and forth. And I, at times, many times, have argued the name back and forth. That being said, in fact, and I'm going to get a little bit into a rabbit hole here, but one of the reasons that the Jews, the Yehudim, resist Jesus as Messiah is because they make the argument that he never existed. And the reason they make the argument that he never existed is because nowhere in the census, which was taken, the Roman census that was taken at the time, nowhere is there a Jesus on it. And the reason for that is that wasn't his name. His name was Yeshua or Yahusha or Yehoshua of Nazareth. Because, and very simply, there's no J in Hebrew. That letter does not exist in Hebrew. His name started with a Y. His name was Yeshua of Nazareth. And so it's now gotten to the point where the Jews will say, that guy didn't even exist because you can't find his name in the historical record. You can find his actual name in the historical record, which then became anglicized into Jesus, comma, I've cast out demons in the name of Jesus. I now call him Yeshua. Much like when you first meet somebody and they're like, hi, my name is James. It's like, it's good to meet you, James. And then as you go into a deeper relationship with them, they reveal to you that hey, you can call me Jim now. Copy that, because you have a different level of relationship. And that's just me personally where I am. So as far as the function of baptism, anybody can baptize anybody. Living water is preferable. You can use any body of water that you have. And I'm curious for the thoughts from this side of the porch here currently.
If it's cool, I'll give my thought, and then if you want to share someone you're in with that.
Yeah, we can keep mine in yours.
So we had a recent reason to think about this, and me and Stalwart Peacekeeper, and then the rest of us too, but me and him specifically spent a lot of time together, and that creates an environment for a lot of different conversations. And at 2 a.m. the other day, on like the night that was my birthday, at 2 a.m., he, myself, and my wife were sitting at my kitchen table, and this topic came up. And I asked him
Prior to that, we actually 2
Sure.
a.m. We had 3 hours prior to that. The topic came up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
3 hours that we were talking about it. But at some point, I realized in the moment, it's like, oh, we probably ought to hit on this topic. So I literally got up and moved chairs so I could look straight at him. And I asked him, I was like, hey, have you been baptized? When were you baptized? And he told me when.
So I was baptized when I was 7. I was obviously young at 7, but I was old enough that it was a conscious decision of mine. It was not my parents taking me to the church and getting baptized. Like, it was a conscious decision of mine. It was a very special moment in my memory. Still is. Yeah.
Sure. So at that point, I asked him, don't you think that you, based on your testimony that you've shared with me, kind of ran pretty hard from the Father for a while? And he said, yeah. And so we chatted about that. I said, I was baptized somewhere around 5, 6, 7, 5 probably. For me, I don't count it for me. I'm not saying yours didn't. And I told him that at the time. I said, but for me, I don't count it because I didn't really have an understanding of what it was to be a man and what it was to be a sinner and what my life could be like without Christ. I didn't have the full understanding yet. And there's even some reference with David that there might be such thing as an age of accountability, where if my 2-year-old nephew dies, is that to say that he went to hell because he didn't have time to get baptized and give his life? No, not necessarily. And that's a different rabbit hole. So this conversation was going on. And I told him, I said, what do you think about baptism now? And what's your thoughts on that? And what was your response to that?
So I had been thinking about it for a while because, like he touched on with my testimony, I ran hard from the Father for 10 plus years. And during that time, I legitimately adulterated with other gods. And praise him, he never gave up on me. And I reached the end of myself, saw the truth in him, and turned my heart back to him. And then a short time later, discovered Torah and started pursuing him in my day-to-day life. And a lot of the things that we talk about when we're on the road and stuff, we just have a lot of conversations all the time, but is that, you know, since I've begun pursuing him, I am not, like he uses this statement, he's like, I don't know that guy.
Yeah, I've never met the guy that he references that he was. Same thing with T, same thing with everybody else that's out here.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking about baptism for a while. I brought it up to T once, and it had been on my mind. I just had never, I guess, executed on it. Yeah.
So I asked him, I was like, well, do you want to? Pretty much.
Yeah.
And he said,
yeah,
actually, I do. I said, cool. How about right now? This was 2 a.m. It's been cold.
You're pretty good at that, by the way.
Yeah.
I get told I asked
Yeah.
questions. Sorry.
Well, it's like, don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today.
Yep.
Well,
We're not guaranteed to live.
And
Right.
we gave you the options. It was
Yeah.
like what 13 degrees at night. I was
And
like,
a pond in my
we
backyard.
have a pond. We can go outside and do it that way, or we have a bathtub.
Yep.
We can do it that way.
Yeah. And so I told him, I was
Up to
like,
you.
here. I was like, why don't we do it like Paul, like Shaul of Tarsus? I said, hey, it seemed to work for him. And if you contrast that, John the Baptist, who's in the wilderness, they're very
Mhm.
different,
Yeah.
very different. But apparently they both worked. And so my thought was that for me, when I realized that I was absolutely lost and had nothing, I dedicated my life to Christ consciously. And then I got baptized in the James River in Virginia. And so I was like, hey, instead of us, getting you hypothermic, how about, I said, hey, baby doll, would you go grab a pitcher of water for me? She literally goes and grabs the coffee pot
The carafe out of the coffee pot. And
and fills it with water. And so I tell him, I was like, hey, let's go to the bathroom. And so he takes his shirt off. The three of us kneel down and we're on our knees where we belong when we're talking to the Lord. And we prayed together. And something stood out to me in a really cool way. Is a lot of the time when one person's praying, you wait, right? You wait for them to stop.
Yeah.
He didn't, and that's unusual because I know
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And so he
We pray
literally,
together a lot.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, so-
And so the spirit hit him so hard, like I'm like in the middle of it, and I'm not calling you out. This is not a bad thing at all. But something that happened to me was I started dumping tears when I gave my life, and it was overwhelming. I felt so guilty for everything I'd ever done, and I felt so forgiven for everything I'd ever done, all at once.
Yep.
And apparently that's kind of what was hitting you.
The exact same thing happened in my past. Not only did I adulterate with other gods, but I also hurt a lot of people, physically, emotionally, just a lot of evil in my past. And
It weighs on
the
you.
remorse, the guilt and the remorse, the weight of it, just hit me all at once. Stuff that I hadn't even consciously thought of in years. Like, it wasn't on my mind. Stuff that I don't know that, I don't have the greatest memory. I don't know that I would have been able to even recall it if someone asked me about it. It all hit me at once. I thought I was going to be driven through the foundation of the house. Like, it was so heavy. It's like someone just turned up the gravity in this spot.
That's something I told you was you don't get to hold it anymore.
Right.
You don't. You're not allowed to do that. The Father either gave His Son for you or He didn't. One or the other.
And that was where I wasn't consciously thinking about what I was saying. I didn't have anything planned to say. It just, I had to
Confess.
interject
Yeah.
in the prayer and confess. Yeah. And I did.
Yeah.
And then you were like, all right. And I just knew, like, okay, it's time. And so I sat up on the side of the bathtub, and he's like, no, get in the tub.
Very training.
Hurry
like,
up, you're
that-
done.
that
Oh,
was
hurry up, you're
very,
living.
very
Hurry up,
much-
you're living.
So I kind of jumped up over into the, and apparently she says I hit my head, but
Oh yeah, he did.
I didn't even realize that. It just felt like a bolt of lightning hit me, and my eyes and mouth opened, and he was already pouring the water. And
You remember anything I said at all?
No.
Yeah. So see,
Not-
again, it's not even
I
about the
have not.
words, man.
Yep.
But I said, I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit,
I-
and then I poured water on him.
Yeah, and it was very surreal. So people who may not know me personally, I am very my senses are very tuned. So
Very controlled.
yeah, and very observant and attentive to everything. So the fact that I honestly, until you just said that, I didn't know you said anything.
Yep.
That says a lot also. But
Yeah, 'cause that don't matter.
right, and it was interesting that the water hit my eyes, my nose, and my mouth. As it started at the top of my head, I could tell, and it just kind of went down across my face. And the stream is hitting me in the eyes, and then the nose, and then the mouth, and it was like, and I was laying back, so it was running into my ears, and it was like every orifice was filled, and it just kind of flushed through me, and I didn't choke. That was the thing that just like stood out to me afterwards. Like I didn't choke at all, and I had there was no way for air to pass. And then I got up, and I just felt light as a feather.
Yep.
And just energized, and it was amazing.
Yep. And then we hugged and
It's also, so thank you for sharing that,
Yep.
because that's a big deal. Yeah, and, basically testifying in front of 650 people. So thank you.
It
It's-
was amazing what y'all did for me.
Yep.
So it was, for me, it was very much an outward manifestation of the death that had taken place inwardly.
Yeah.
Y'all had forgiven me of that past.
Yep.
And it was only me hanging on to that ghost.
But you're,
And I kept bringing it up, and I was allowing that to still affect me today when he can't remember it. And so it was a outward manifestation of that death process that he'd already taken care of.
that's exactly right. The baptism is an outward expression of an inward change of heart. That's what you're doing. It's basically a confession of faith, but it also is. There's a metaphysical aspect to it. You're made new in that, and it's as somebody who's been blessed to be able to baptize people. It's just as powerful for me when you baptize somebody. We affectionately call it dunking people. And we have a river that's been used to dunk a bunch of people. Praise the Father that it's been used to dunk a bunch of people. Somebody I know got married there.
I got baptized there too.
You got baptized there
That's
too.
awesome.
And but it's so powerful. Like everybody's crying. Like it's just
Oh,
a
yeah.
thing.
I've
Like
never
Yeah.
seen a baptism and not bald.
yeah.
It's never,
I
too,
don't care
it's
if
never
it's a
too
kid.
late too.
Well, that's a
You
great
can't
point,
think,
Bo.
I'm old. You just baptized
Yeah.
guy in the river.
Tommy.
70 something.
And he's dying, isn't he?
Something.
And he's
Yeah.
dying.
Well, he's got a diagnosis. The Father's going to do what the Father's going to do.
Never too late to give you a leftover.
Because
Oh, bless
sometimes,
you.
I also like pointing out that there was a snowstorm that prevented the rest of the dudes that my wife had planned without me really knowing to come to my
Yeah.
house. You were the only one that was able to come, so that was
It's
kind of
like
unique.
y'all had a plan there.
It's almost
Yeah.
like you had a plan. In fact, I told him, I said, it's like the Father brought a snowstorm, so you'd be here alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's like,
And because he's got a whole new commission going on in his
I
life.
mean, it's almost like he's in control of things.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
he sent a snowstorm.
Yeah,
He sent
yeah.
all of the cold weather to the East Coast so that we could go to Utah.
Yeah, he did.
So Alan said, wonderful testimony. How would you talk to someone who has and still strays, but continues to become convicted? So here's the deal. I would encourage you to heed that conviction because, well, a handful of reasons, but let's start with that conviction. John chapter 16 makes it quite clear that the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, convicts us concerning sin, righteousness, and judgment, right? And if you're more interested in that, I read the Bible twice per week on camera on YouTube and once per week on camera for Patreon. And Patreon it's not a paying gig. It's you get your money's worth on everything else, right? So But here's the deal. If you're feeling convicted when you're straying, you're sinning. You need to teshuva, which is the word repent, which literally means to turn in Hebrew. You turn from your own personal bullshit, you turn from your wicked ways, and you turn back to the Father, and then you hand that back over to Him, and then you stop doing it. Because sin's lawlessness and denying the Holy Spirit is the only unforgivable sin in the Bible. And like Brother Twitch here said, you might get hit by a truck tomorrow. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Now, that's the spiritual aspect of it, in my opinion. I would also say this. Let's look at it purely logically. You're doing something that's not working, which is why you're constantly being convicted to stop doing it. If it wasn't working, you're getting negative feedback from that. And so die to yourself, crucify your flesh, stop doing that thing that you've been convicted to not do, and life will go better for you. You're carrying around that burden when you're not supposed to be carrying around that burden, or you're behaving in such a way that you shouldn't be behaving in. And so, and also, how you define stray, I have no idea. I don't know what we're talking about here. I don't know if it means you have one drink a week or you're like beating people to death. Like there's a wide variety of what straying could look like here. But obviously you're convicted. And so you need to heed that conviction. And also the last thing I would say is it would be very good for you to have people around you that can pray for you and bear those burdens with you as we're supposed to, because that's not for you to carry anyway. That's between you and the Father by the blood of His Son. But brothers and sisters are a really powerful tool in the toolkit as well to deal with that stuff. We're told in the New Testament to confess your sins to one another, to bear each other's burdens, to lift each other up, to pray for each other, to sing songs and bring praise. And like we've praised the Father. We've had a week of happy tears in this camp. It's been a beautiful week of happy tears. But there's also weeks where like it's not a great week, and
That's called life.
And we're all taking turns of talking each other off the ledge, or out of murder, or whatever it may be.
I need to add to that. The Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, convicts you when you're sinning. Convicts you. The enemy will condemn you. The difference is that condemnation only leads to death. That whether that's an emotional or physical death, condemnation, there is no way out. Conviction turns you back to the Father. There is that avenue for repentance. Conviction is to bring you back. Condemnation is to get you off the playing board. And
great point.
Yeah. And for me, I dealt with a lot of condemnation. And I want to be clear also, I'm far from perfect. I still deal with conviction a lot, the daily. So I just want to make sure that my testimony didn't come across as like, oh, I'm perfect now. No, absolutely not. That is becoming His is not an overnight process.
We got to doubt ourselves every day.
Every day.
I've noticed the times when things like get rough and you're like, oh, this has just been a bad day. It's the times when I didn't pray that morning, or I didn't really focus on Him, and I stepped away and I didn't have Him in my life, and things just went to crap.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's why. And you go back and reflect on that.
So again, I don't know what you mean by stray either, but yeah, I mean, I still stray. Like I think we all do.
And I'll tell you, because several of us out here are men, and I don't know if you are or not, but pornography is a thing that I think the enemy uses significantly to his purposes on men, especially because if he can wreck the man of a household, he can wreck the rest of it too.
Yep.
And so I don't know if that's what you're dealing with, but a whole bunch of people do, and that is dangerous.
Well, and to that point, Paul and Peter and maybe James, if I'm remembering correctly, depending on how you choose to read things, all bring up the point that sin begins first as a seed, as a thought.
Yes, James listed as desire is the source of sin.
Correct. Right? And when it's conceived, desire when conceived gives birth to sin, right? And so there's a lot of teaching from the Judaic sages, the Jews, right? And they're, you're a Jew, Bear. I'm not a friggin' Jew, moron. But anyway, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
He did good.
I said friggin'.
He did good.
I said,
and he said moron.
Like,
yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
brother. See, there's hope for all of us. There's hope for all of us.
It's not 9 o'clock yet.
But here's my point. There's a lot of teaching from the sages over the last 4,000 years on this. As human beings, we're going to think thoughts. We're going to have feelings. We're going to be presented with opportunities. And the thought in of itself is not the bad thing. But that's why Paul says, take hold of every thought and make it subject to the master, Yeshua, right? Because that thought, if you don't arrest that thought now, if it's an unclean thought, it will, when conceived, give birth to sin. If you allow yourself to continue, it's gonna go bad for you. And so that's that moment of conviction right there, is the moment it hits you like, oh, hey, here's this thing. Oh, look away. Don't do it. Stop. Pump the brakes. I was just telling my 15-year-old daughter about this earlier. I tell her a lot about boys and men because she's a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, honey, don't press play because boys don't have a pause button. And that's like, so, and I didn't think it would end up in this conversation here. But don't press play because boys don't have a pause button. Like once you press play, there's no pause button. And that's the thing. And that's not an excuse. It's not permission to behave poorly as a man. But don't press play. And if you're about to press play, take hold of that thought and make it subject to Yeshua. Yep. Right? Like literally pray, like rebuke stuff. I rebuke stuff all the time. Daily, sometimes multiple times per day. I'm screaming at stuff.
Weren't you awake at like 1 a.m. praying the other day when Hannah was in town?
Yeah.
So let's see. What else we got? Thank you all for bearing with a half an hour of us talking spiritual stuff. Not yet. I'm honored to have made it to the live. Grindstone Ministries is amazing. Thank you, Bear. Do you have any medical classes in Kentucky?
Say classes in Kentucky?
Not yet, currently. Not yet.
Virginia,
Indianapolis,
West Virginia,
and Pennsylvania.
Tennessee.
So it's all at
Florida.
all the current classes are at refugetraining.com right now. There's a Waco, Texas class in conjunction with tactical riflemen.
That'll be fun.
There's a Houston class. And by the way, Houstonians, y'all said you wanted a class. It's there. Please show up because we do these classes when you'll ask for them. And so it's kind of frustrating sometimes when you guys say, we got to have a class in Houston. And then we put the class up and it's crickets.
Or Tyler, Texas.
Well, yeah, we had somebody was in southwestern Louisiana, and they're like, when are you coming to my neck of the woods? We're not. Go to Houston. But I don't want to jump too far down that rabbit hole. I'm trying very, very hard. No Lashon Hara, which I will discuss later off camera, but no Lashon Hara. So that being said, we regularly, and by we I mean particularly these two right here and a couple of other our other employees. We are in the center of the country, praise the Father, and we regularly drive all the way to the other side of the country, or as far north as you can go, or as far south as you can go. Like we drive all the way across the country. So if we're coming to within 3 or 4 hours of where you are, that's the class that you need to come to. Because I'm not going to go do a class in Frisco, Texas, and then go do a class in McKinney, Texas. Y'all need to go to the Dallas class.
What about private classes, brother?
I was gonna say, if you are adamant you want a class in, Daytona, Florida, right? That's just, you don't want to go to Tampa. You don't want to go to the class we just had in Lakeland. You want a class in Daytona. Okay. You need to find 5, 6, 7, 8 other people that want a class in Daytona and email me at sales@refugetraining.com. Email me because I answer that email. And we will make a class happen there for y'all.
Yeah, there's real people on the other side of this technology, by the way.
Usually me.
My favorite over here,
One of us.
Sister Renee, is when somebody emails admin at Bear Independent
Don't get me started.
and doesn't like the answer they get, so then they email admin at Grindstone Ministries, and it's
The
like,
contact us page.
we're all the
It's the
same
same
people.
It's the same
It's all the same people.
Admin at, you get me.
Yeah, it's all the same people. It's just different buckets that the information goes into.
Even if you try to be sneaky, we are all together all the time. So you're going to get the same answer no matter what.
That's true. And
Yeah.
then
If
and then
you
we
get to
think,
Walmart and then you email us, still us.
Yeah.
It's not us, yeah.
and then we think less of you because you emailed 3 different
Yeah,
times
like,
to 3 different people, and it's like,
Like this kid that asked the mom, then goes ask the dad.
exactly. Yeah.
Only
What did
they're
your
the
mom
same.
say? Yeah. Right. So I would drive to OK or Kansas. What's up, Lee? Awesome. Do you ever come to Atlanta? We did a class in Atlanta in 2021.
We have an Atlanta class in the store.
We have an Atlanta class in the store right now. Thank you for the $5 bill, Mike. We drove 3 hours to attend. It's so worth it. Thank you, Jennifer Lax. Do you remember Jennifer Lax?
What class?
Was that
I recognize the name.
Jennifer? Was that you in Cleveland from upstate New York? Is that you, Jennifer? One team, one
We go
fight.
silent like waiting for it.
New sub, Sabbath Institute. Awesome.
Maybe.
Shalom, brother Dudley.
That's who I have the call with.
Any plans on Midwest classes? Define Midwest. We got a class in Indy right now.
Yeah.
We got a class in North Dakota coming up in May.
Yep.
In May,
I think it's June.
I think it's June.
June. That's what I said.
Yeah. That's why I gotta talk to you stuff.
Rebecca, why are you giving up?
Rebecca's
Maybe
trying to
I'm
get
in
to the
upstate New
Discord.
York, Ohio,
Utah
12
class.
hours. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. There's certain places that we're not going to go. I don't go anywhere, and this is a really good rule. Lady Lee Bell, thank you so much for the $20 bill. As a general rule, any place that this standard capacity Glock 17 magazine makes me a felon, we don't train people there, because there's probably 12 of those on us right now. So no, we're sorry, we're not going there. I saw somebody in the comments said all of us Californians need to get together and do a class in Arizona. Absolutely, we will do that, but we're not going to Cali. It's not.
Jennifer's from Roanoke.
It's not worth it. Roanoke.
Virginia.
You can do Lake Havasu and they can just go across the lake.
There you go.
From Roanoke?
That's what Jennifer.
Yeah, then
said
you
she's
did
from
meet
Roanoke.
Yeah, I didn't meet you, but I probably have at some point.
I can't make promises on a
Okay, explain
Vegas
that.
class or a Nevada class. I should say not so Vegas proper, but I am trying our best to make a Vegas or Nevada class happen, as well as things are actually looking quite optimistic for an Oregon class.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's that potentially in the works. But aside from that, if there's an essential responder in the store and you're not necessarily from Washington, Oregon, or California, that's what you got.
Yep. So we very much so want to train y'all. Like, these guys are excellent at it. I would put up our curriculums up against anybody, bar none. We trained over 1,000 people in 2021. There's 14 classes in the store at refugetraining.com right now. Is BOGO up?
Yeah.
It is.
BOGO 15.
BOGO 15 gets you 15% off your second or more slots for any Responder 1 class. That's our 4-hour level 1 class.
Which we've been told by multiple people, active duty military, recently separated military veterans.
They got from SF in the last.
Yeah,
SF
that's in the last
guys,
class. That our 4-hour Responder 1 class is essentially the 4-day or 3-day combat lifesaver course from the military condensed down, minus any kind of skin puncture.
Yep.
Yep.
It's an awesome class. It's an absolutely awesome class. And so we appreciate y'all for coming to class, and we want to teach as many people as we can. 2 of the 33 lives that Refuge has saved are directly attributed to training. So
If you think about how many more kids there are out there comparing to how many more people we've trained, that's even still cool.
exactly. Well, there's still 2 people directly alive because of y'all's efforts, like not including anything that came before Refuge, but just since Refuge, directly attributed to the training division. And it's awesome. It's mind-blowing that we get to do that for work. So
does a construction company need training?
does a construction company need
Would your
training?
medical training
Are-
apply to a construction company?
Are
Well,
you
anything
kidding
that
me?
has bloody
So
parts.
hold on. At no Lashawn hurrah. So at a minimum, you need the 4-hour stop the bleed class, because preventable bleeding accounts for 9 out of 10 preventable deaths in the United States of America. Additionally, as a construction company, you probably have vehicles, and motor vehicle accidents are by far the most dangerous thing that can occur to us in our daily lives. And so if you look at just the Responder 1 class, which is Stop the Bleed, plus a whole bunch more airway, respiratory, circulate. It's the March algorithm. So massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, everything else, situational awareness. There's a whole bunch in there that you could use. And it illustrates the point that we're not just talking about gunshot wounds. Now, gunshot wounds are a thing, but this is why the soccer mom needs this, and the high school principal needs this, and the guy that works in the corner office needs this. Like teenagers. We've taught a lot of teenagers.
Yeah.
Because think about it, on a job site, you can absolutely get a puncture wound to your pleural space. What do we do with that? Crushing injuries, for sure. Life number 33 was a guy that almost got his arm ripped off by a skid steer. That's construction. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I knew a guy that got woozy on a job site, and he was pushing boards through a table saw and fell and put his hand out and put his hand down across the table saw blade and cut all 4 of his fingers on his left hand off. What are you going to do with that? So, at a minimum, I would say Responder 1, if not Responder 1 and Responder 2, because where Responder 2 comes in is CPR and AED. And there's lots of reasons why people in general need that training. And I think there's a misconception in people's minds. They think if you wear multicam and have a cool rifle, then you need a blowout kit, and then you need to know how to use it. And that is accurate. That's true. If you wear multicam and have a cool rifle, therefore you should have a blowout kit and you should know how to use it. If you drive a vehicle, you should know how to use a first aid kit and have a good one. If you own a business, if you work in a school, if you're a human being with a pulse, you should know how to save other people's lives, because the first responders are going to get there in time, most of the time statistically, to draw chalk lines, which they don't even do anymore. Yes, Fo, what do you got?
Everyone's asking questions. Do you come here? Do you come there? Everybody, write this down. Refugetraining.com. When you get off this live feed and it ends, go there and look for the city closest to you.
And if there's not one there and it's more than, 5 hours from you to the closest class.
Sales@refugetraining.com.
Exactly.
And we appreciate the interest very much.
Absolutely.
But the best way to handle that type of business is go to the website first, refugetraining.com, and see what is already there. Because, for example, one person just recently said, do you come to Atlanta? Yes, there's an Atlanta class in the store.
And we've already been there twice.
Right?
About Houston.
Yes, there's a Houston class in the store right now. And then if there's not a class in your general area, in your region, within a half a day's drive, and many people fly in for these classes, by the way, but your level of commitment may vary, and that's okay. If there's not a class within a half a day's drive of where you are, and you would like to facilitate a class, email Stalwart Peacekeeper sales@refugetraining.com, and he will take care of you. And thank you for helping us grow the small businesses that we have, because there's 33 people still alive because y'all saw enough in what we were doing to pour into that so we could get all these kits out there and get them forward deployed and used to save people's lives.
I think what people are not understanding or seeing the other side.
Thank you,
think,
Carrie.
of the training division. Yeah, I think what people are not seeing the other side is that sometimes we're driving
The 22 hours we spend on the road.
40 hours and it's within 7 days with classes in between.
Right.
It's like you're not seeing that side, and these guys are teaching 8-10 hour row classes and still driving 40 hours within a week. Like, so I mean, we're trying to get there,
A
but
lot more than 40 hours sometimes. We've
yeah,
had as much as like 70 hours in a week of driving.
Yeah.
just to get places.
I would like to say that it's really cool that so many
We
people
love it.
asking, because we do.
Yeah.
We do love it. That's what gets me up, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Tango Liberty, shut up. Put tampons in your med kit. I know you're joking, but no. If you ever did a canine kit, could you train the officers or whoever to use them for specific kits? So Joshua,
Don't do it.
Joshua's an affiliate. He carries our kits in the store.
that's awesome, Joshua. So Team 5, currently, we support Team 5, and Team 5 is doing a canine training coming up soon in Vegas, and we have supplied them with canine kits. We have 3 different tiers of canine kit that we are assembling. They have the prototype of the first one now. We'll be getting their feedback on that. But there's 3 different levels of that. Neil Weller, grateful for the gift of life and cheers to Thirsty Thursday. Doing something every day. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that very much.
Cheers.
Have you ever thought about an online class? So I'll answer this briefly and then we'll move on from training. I've thought about online. I've been asked by many people to do online classes, and here's the reason why I won't do it. The reason why I won't do it is because I fundamentally believe that y'all will mistake online information for actual training. You're going to mistake information and instruction. It's very, very different for you to watch a video of somebody else doing it, or even be in a Zoom call where we are all doing it together, than it is for me to lay my hands on you and check for a distal pulse and go, nope, you didn't get it. Oh, it's got to go way tighter than that. Nope, you did it wrong. It should be a little bit higher. It's the same thing if we're talking about shooting a handgun. Okay, you can watch all the training videos online that you want, or a rifle or anything else. And that's totally different. And you can get an idea, a concept of how it works. But then you get out on the range and you're standing there and you go to draw, and the instructor goes, stop. Do that again. You do it this way. You come up from here to here, center mass or center line, punch out from there, front sight picture, squeeze, manage the recoil. Your grip sucks. Well, why are your thumbs like that? Blah, blah, blah. Those are 2 very different things. So that in the moment instruction is incredibly more valuable than the information that you gain from watching a video. And when it comes to literally life and death, I personally refuse to produce content that will be mistaken for instruction when in fact it is only informational. Now, we have multiple informational videos. This is a tourniquet. This is how you put it on. These are chest seals. You can search bear-independent chest seals. You'll find that. Bear-independent tourniquet, bear-independent pressure bandage, bear-independent wound packing. That's here. But that is, and it's free right now. And so if you want that information, it's here. Just use the YouTube search bar. It exists. But it is not instruction. And you will now have a false sense of confidence going out into the world thinking you know how to do it, that actually makes you more dangerous than if you didn't know how to do it at all. Like, I don't want unpopular opinion time. I don't want untrained people carrying weapons and using them in gunfights. You're making it more difficult for those of us that are trained to know how to use them. It's the same thing. You have a false sense of confidence. It's like having your rifle under your bed that isn't zeroed and you don't shoot. That when the world ends, man, I'm going to grab that rifle and I'm going to go to work. You're going to do nothing but die because you watched some videos and got some information as compared to actual instruction from competent instructors. And so that's why we don't have an online class, even as with COVID and 2020 and 2021, all of these huge, training outfits, companies that you've heard of, companies that I'd be happy to drag their names through the mud, but I'm not going to do it because no LaShawn hurrah. All transitioned from in-person training to online, air quote, training, because that's what they had to do to stay afloat. And on the one hand, I get that. But on the other hand, shame on you, because people are going to confuse information for instruction, and they are not the same. If I can't put my hands on you when I'm teaching you, I'm not instructing you. I'm at best informing you, and I'm doing a disservice to you when it comes to how you're going to save your life or somebody else's life. That's why we don't have online classes.
Plus, how am I going to drive my knee into somebody's artery online? Come on.
Right? Or teach them how to restrain people and then make them go do force on force with JT.
JT loves that.
Yeah.
They can just mute you online too. I mean,
That's
what's
another
the point of
problem.
that?
Yep. Yeah. Who's actually paying attention? Because if you're not paying attention in class, you learn real quick. You're going to pay attention because something will get thrown at you. A table will get kicked over. Somebody will splash fake blood or water on you. You're probably going to get yelled at.
You might know that.
A lot.
You most definitely will get yelled
In
at.
Utah, you get snow thrown on you.
Bear found one other friend in the Northeast used the 119 app. That's awesome, Lee. You think you know till Twitch TQs your leg.
Where would I see from?
Ma C. You can't fix stupid, Doc. We'll pray for that guy. So, exactly. Do you think the trucker strike is exactly what they're clogging up the supply chain even more? So, it's obviously it's intentional. Is it helping supply chains? No, not at all. Is it the reason the supply chains are a wreck? No, not at all.
Making a point, though.
It is making a point, and I'll give them that. But as I've said before, and I mean it, they're being too nice.
I know they're Canadians.
I
though.
know, but
I'm really proud of them.
hold on.
Like,
Say that again.
From what I know of Canadians, I'm really proud of them. They're working really hard. We saw there was like diesel cans are carrying around that says liberal tears on it now. Like they're being as offensive and as aggressive as they can be.
So I watched.
It's really
Nice.
cold.
I watched a brief exchange between Trudeau and I guess some other high-ranking person. They were in I guess their parliament. I'm gonna mess this up. All right, bear with me. And they got their little moderator dude, right? And he's got his little his gown on. And at one point they're going back and forth, and all he does is stand up, and Trudeau just stops. He sits down. And I'm like, what is going on with this? And that guy, he literally says it. He's like, now, they can't hear with all the hackling that you're doing. She asked him a question. Now let him answer. And he sits down, and Trudeau stands up and starts speaking again. And here comes the hackling again. It was so polite, even for the moderator of that.
Yeah, Okie said this is like super extreme violence. For
That's
Canadians.
true. Shalom, brother Oki. Hey, what's up, Todd? Tavar, shalom. Hans, shalom. Could you set up something like 119 has? No, man. They're so good at that. It's not even worth me trying.
You have a lot of content about
They've already done
verses
it.
and
We'll
everything.
just do it.
So
Yeah.
it's out there.
Yeah.
So if they want to know about,
Well, I think he's talking about the 119 Fellowship Finder.
Yeah.
No, that 119 just rocks at that. 119 Ministry is Boris. Any knowledge on the guard dog ceramic plates? No, I do not have any knowledge on that at all. Thoughts on 2 homesteads, one remote of Alaska, one lower 48 for business. You got to have a caretaker at least one of them, if not both of them, if you're going to be moving back and forth between the 2 of them, and they're operational. If they're just land that could be spun up to be a homestead at either point, then that'll work. But if you actually want those homesteads producing, it takes a hell of a lot of effort to get a homestead spun up. It takes far less effort once it's spun up to maintain it, but to get it going takes a lot of effort. Like you got to build that momentum. And so if you're constantly bouncing back and forth, I don't think you'd ever get the momentum up to where they would both be able to sustain you. So you need a caretaker in at least one spot, but really probably both, because you can't work the one that you're not at when you're at the other one. So, you know, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. That being said, if they're just plots of land that you're gonna spin up to a homestead at some point, then if you can financially afford that, so be it. Especially if one of them, you said one's for business in the lower 48, then depending on how risk averse your accountant is and what kind of, you know, legal structure you have, that could potentially be a business expense. So caretaker in place, yes, lots of effort, only one operational. Roger that.
Boris just asked, is the Viking therapist on the up and up? Nobody said he's here. Ask him.
Yeah.
That guy, he's no.
That not only is he on the up and up, he'll be speaking at the men's retreat
I'm
in
looking
a
forward
week.
to that.
Oh yeah,
I didn't
man.
know that.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
come last year.
No, I couldn't make it last year. I wanted to, man.
Evening Slade.
All right, I moved.
Chris
Yeah, I was saying, you're in the
says,
middle of
I am
it.
Canadian. I have trucks to the east, trucks to the west, and I am safe at home with my micro squared away. Very independent, proper classroom, insurance paid off again. LOL.
Amen.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I have a question. My son bought a Glock the other day and the flag is backwards. Why is that? Well, I don't know what you mean by backwards, because I don't know what you mean referring to the Glock, but if the stars should be forward.
Yeah, so if it's on the right side of the Glock, the
It's
stars,
backwards.
it will be backwards in the sense of like, but the stars are always forward because it
So if it's
represents
on the right side, it is backwards.
right, because it represents the forward momentum.
Yep.
Think about like Revolutionary War, Civil War time frame. The flag bearer is the one you're following. That's how the line knows where to go. So the flag guy's running that way, which means the flag's flapping this way. That's why.
Yeah. So if you're that side of the flag, it looks backwards from the image that a lot of people see of the flag.
If it's upside down, the country's in distress.
I was just going to say that. Now, if it's upside down, that's another story. Get out my brain.
Come on.
Bear, thought on buying a fixer-upper single-family rental units for investing in income. Hey, so I'm not the investment guy, okay? I live in a house that might or might not have been better off smashed with a bulldozer when we moved here in eastern Oklahoma.
It works.
It works, right? It works. Which I could jump into that rabbit hole too. You're leaving Babylon and you want your McMansion out in the woods. Negative, that it very rarely works out that way unless you have all the monies. That being said, investment properties, yeah, real estate never goes to zero, real estate is through the roof right now because there's so much speculation in real estate. Bear, your buddy with the glasses is shot in the right arm. Hey, man, you got shot in the right arm.
You're shot in the right arm.
Hurry up, you're dying, man.
Man. That's
Hurry
for
up.
dying.
You're bleeding out. Hurry up.
Bleeding out. Anybody else have glasses? Nobody else has glasses,
No.
do
I
Well, your
just
wife
wanna
does.
Say that we did plot to do this to you the other night.
Yeah.
In
they? It has to be
everybody.
cold.
Yep.
It's got to be bourbon.
Dad.
Hurry up, we're dying.
Get him, babe. Come on, man.
Let's go. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. And the jacket might prevent things.
Oh, you got it.
Let's see.
Oh, you got it.
One more turn.
Hang on. We might need one more time.
You got it.
No, we did achieve it. Let's finish it.
Uh-huh. See?
Somebody be like, he used his right hand. Well, it ain't removed.
Just hurts really bad.
We did. Yep, we're good. Now we'll just leave it there a minute.
There you go.
Hey, no,
Dude, you can leave it
don't
there for
snuggle
hours.
Still. You can snuggle and turn it.
Yeah, 'cause this will be
Speaking
the
of
explanation
classes,
tomorrow.
loved your video 2 days ago. Militia will die in SHTF. You were dead on in that video. Thanks,
It's like,
Steve.
you
Right?
guys are not yelling at Twitch enough.
Well, because we're hanging out on the porch. There's an infant here. Like,
Yeah, we don't wanna
this is not the classroom.
We have him for that. Like,
Yeah.
That's exactly
That's his job.
That's his job.
You should have shot somebody else in the arm.
Now, did
So-
anybody time it though?
No, it was under 30 seconds, even with the struggles. So regarding the militia will die in SHTF, I want to be clear. The reason I used a clickbaity title like that was because I wanted people to watch it. I wanted to get the reaction out of people to go, what's this a-hole talking about, right? Blah, 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 blah. But it's a statistical fact. More people are killed from a lack of logistics and from an infection than they are from battlefield injuries in a conflict. And the militia is, by and large, using that phrase, that big overarching phrase of militia, is more concerned about war fighting. And everybody wants to be the pointy end of the spear without realizing there's 10 to 12 men that are the dull end of the spear. They're the handle for every one that is the pointy end of the spear. And so they don't have the logistics. They certainly don't have the medical. There's no considerations for that whatsoever. And so if the militia is going to go operational, it needs a longer purview than 72 hours. And that gets, if we're really going to think about that, that gets into auxiliary and underground, which now means the militia is functioning in a partisan capacity, which is a much larger conversation than I have a cool guy Gucci, cry JPC with 3 mags with Ranger tabs on the bottom of it. And I really like my PVS 31s. Like, all that stuff's cool, but if you're going to be a casualty within the next 72 hours anyway, who cares? Like, who cares? And so those are the points that I want to make. And it's probably a facet of my nature. Literally, my personality type is world domination. Okay? Like,
Hey, tell you real quick.
yeah.
Is there any color difference at all?
You're asking me?
No, I'm asking the camera mainly. See if I get the lighting right, because this is definitely gray.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, there is. Yeah, I can see it.
Huge.
And the motion's slowing way down.
Yeah. Well, that's because there's no blood going to your hand, buddy.
You want it at VR. Your arm.
So-
You're gonna have to
Can you
blow
still
up
go
your
ahead.
arm, babe. Like,
Hold on, your arm's gonna fall
You're
off.
nice,
It's
man.
gonna fall
I
off.
don't know if you can knife him.
Knife hand.
Yes. Could I pull a trigger though? That might be different.
So I've done that drill a lot, and what you find out is not nearly as well as you think you can.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the militia.
Oh yeah.
My personality type is literally the commander. I'm an ENTJ. I care a lot less about tactics than I do about strategy. It doesn't mean that tactics aren't important. It doesn't mean that we don't need to know the tactics. It just means, for me, once I have a good tool set of tactics, I'm less concerned at that point about the tactics than I am about the strategy. How are we employing these tactics, and to what end? What is the overall mission? What are we trying to accomplish? What assets can we bring to bear to accomplish that mission? And most people are unfortunately squarely in the category of amateurs sitting around arguing tactics and techniques rather than being concerned with the big overarching picture of strategy. And I'm here to tell you, if you're not concerned about strategy and long-term strategy, you're literally going to be at best a foot soldier in somebody else's army, because those are the only moves that you have. And I'm not interested in that. That's not what I want. So I take a much longer purview. I look much farther down the field to try and figure out what's the trajectory, what are we trying to accomplish. I mean, it's the same thing. Step one, if we're gonna, you have to identify the target first in order to be able to hit it. If I can see the target, if I can identify the target, then I can figure out a firing solution to hit that target. But if I'm more concerned about what the gun is and what the optic is and what round I'm going to use, and it does have it this weapon lighter, that weapon lighter, should I get an EOTech with a 3x magnifier or a 1 to 8 LPVO, and 1 and 8 or 1 and 7 barrel twist? And what about 69 versus 7? Who gives a flying F? I don't care at all. What is the friggin' target? I don't know, but my gun looks real cool. Awesome. You're useless at that point for anything other than cannon fodder. And you have to elevate your thinking beyond the level of cannon fodder. Yo, Big Joe. You can also buy the burn dressing separately. Yeah, you can. That's my wife said
My
that.
wife had a burn, and they said they suggested we put it in our kit, and I was like, it's in the 3.0.
It is. It's in the Bear Fact 3.0. It's in the Adventure Kit. It's in the Crash
It's in
Kit.
everything else.
It's in the Smash Kit.
But you
You can
also
add it
buy
as an add-on in the
separately.
wound care bucket. You can buy it as separately in the components list on refugemedical.com.
That's definitely something in the last year we've added a
Yeah.
lot of kits.
We've gotten a
But
lot
it
better with
If you
burns.
have an older kit, you should go to the
Couple of
components and be like, you know, I should have that, and that.
We got
Takes
a
up a
hobby
voice.
question over here.
I got a question for you.
Send it.
Did you buy land, then invite community, or go in on land together with friends? I
So
guess we need to have
do we-
some like testimony.
Do we live on a compound?
Right.
Are we a cult?
Y'all need your own kit.
well, the reason you can't see our feet is because we're all wearing matching Nikes.
Yeah.
And underneath all the tactical gear are the jumpsuits that all match.
Yeah.
And we're all drinking Kool-Aid right now. So we bought land.
It's good.
My Kool-Aid tastes a lot like weed.
We bought land, and
We, you
my
and me,
my wife and I and Grandma
yes,
bought land, and
and moved.
moved, and we didn't know why we were here other
North
than
Texas.
the Father called us here. And then we were here alone for 6 months, and then we met another couple that was living in the area, and then a couple that we met on deployment with their kids in Florida ended up moving in next door, 100% by the hand of the Father, just like sheer coincidence, right? And they're not from here. They're from way far away. And long and short, people are called to this area by the Father. Now, that being said, within that context, several of the folks that we call tribe share pieces of land. And so that could be like a micro community within the context of a larger community. And for that, I would recommend, there's a book that I first heard about from Pastor Joe Fox at Viking Preparedness called Creating a Life Together by Diana Leaf Christensen. Creating a Life Together by Diana Leaf Christensen. Read that book. I read that book after we were already here, after we had people who were living here with us, and I realized that there were several mistakes that I had already made that could have been avoided had I taken the advice in that book. And there were several others that I was about to make, and I didn't make, thankfully, because I had read that book. Now, it is written by dirty hippies, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with them politically or ideologically, but there's very good information about people living together in community in there. And your community can look like whatever you want it to look like. For us, we are rural, we are agricultural, we all carry guns, we grow our own food by and large. We have a mixture of like public school and homeschool. We're entrepreneurial, like we're us. We have our own vibe, and that's cool. Your community can look like whatever you want it to. It can be a suburban community that's pre-existing. You know, these two streets and that cul-de-sac, that's us, and we're all going to do life together. Awesome. Do that. It's more about you finding the people and having good people than it is about the
Right.
precisely where you live.
Yeah.
And land is very important, says me. You know, we're agriculturalists, we're into homesteading. I believe food storage is great, but food production is even better. Like Renee likes to say, that like our grain is like, oh shit. Like
Oh, yeah.
we're only opening buckets if things are like
So if you open buckets,
horrendous.
you're losing.
Exactly.
I was like, one of the things people talk about fellowship, most of our fellowship that we really like are for our best friends live 2 hours away.
Yeah.
You know, people don't want to travel an hour or 2 hours to a training class. We travel an hour or 2 hours to like our
To
best
go
friends.
hang out with
Yeah.
our buddies.
Yep.
Like sometimes once a week, like twice a month. Like that's just normal. It's like, no, that's where they live. They just live 2 hours away.
Yep.
A lot of it comes down to like how driven are you on it. You know, like we were saying with
Yeah.
training and reference.
How much do you want it?
How much do you want it? Because there's going to be sacrifices somewhere. Some of the sacrifices might be monetarily. Some of it might be time. It just depends. But is it worth it? Is it worth the investment? And that's only up to you.
Yep.
But
Coach your dad. Shalom, brother.
Slow bug out, Bob.
Bug out,
Bug out, Bob. What's up, man?
Thank you, brother.
Texas T. Shalom, brother.
Using Mylar bags for
And
food
no grade
storage
bucket.
is
No,
necessary to
do
use
not
a
have
food grade
to.
bucket.
So, all right, food storage. Mylar bag versus food grade bucket. Technically, one or the other. I like my food in Mylar bags, therefore I put them in buckets that are not food grade. But if you put your food in food grade buckets, they don't have to be in Mylar. So it's one or the other. Let's see. A Gunzel said correct. Well, thank you. We've only done. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to tell you how many buckets we've done.
we've done at least one.
But you can piece the numbers together if you just put in bare independent buckets.
It's more than 4 digits.
We've done one.
I'm actually willing to bet, and I mean this with no exaggeration, that we have put more food in buckets than all of you on this live stream together have.
Probably.
I honestly
Yeah.
think
If you
that's
count
I would
what all of
probably
us
agree
have
with that.
personally,
that.
and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
no,
Yep.
absolutely no question.
T-Rex, what's up, man?
Hey, so Patty Sanchez wanted a question to me.
Yeah.
Can you lean back so I'm in?
Just move your mouth.
Just move your mouth at least while I'm talking.
It's the other T behind T.
So, the snow in the yeah, man, you know how my brain works, and I love hate you so hard right now. Hammock life. That's kind of my thing, and yes, I was in the hammock down into the teens, snow, ice, freezing rain, all the stuff. Before winter hit, I invested in a quality underquilt because I didn't want to be caught trying to order it after it was already cold. So I invested in a quality underquilt. It has kept me cozy, warm. Between that and a quality sleeping bag, and having a tarp over me that prevents the wind from, hitting the top side of the hammock. With that setup, I have been absolutely toasty and comfortable down into the teens, and I think I will be comfortable down to slightly below 0. The sleet and the freezing rain, and the snow and whatnot, it added a complication kind of coming and going, but not anything severe, just an adjustment that had to be made.
It freaks the rest of us out more than it freaks him out.
It does. Everyone's like, "Are you okay?"
How long should it last?
I'm within walking distance of half dozen of people that love me and I love them, and so I could absolutely, retreat if the weather whipped my tail.
There's been a couple of conversations like, hey man, there's a storm coming. If you need walls, let me know. We have walls. And he's like, I appreciate that. I'll let you know.
It's been like,
Just
I'll
watch him
serve
to
you
sleep,
warm
though.
breakfast. Like,
Yeah.
just come on
Yeah.
a few bribes with food. Like,
Yeah.
just come on.
So she doesn't worry about it.
And so, I think that was critical. I think if I did not have the underquilt, I think when it got into the teens, I might have been uncomfortable. But it was absolutely to the point that I forgot. I didn't think about the fact that I still had the underquilt on, and it got up into the 40s, and it was so warm that it was uncomfortable in the 40s.
I think for those that don't know, it's also important to point out you are pushing a year in a hammock. A year. And so
in a few weeks it'll be a year.
And this is one of those things where like I've always been intolerant of people's excuses, but I'm literally surrounded by people that whenever somebody, and I'm not going to say that it's you listening right now, but whenever somebody's like, but Bear, you don't understand, I can't because, I'm like, I know 3 people that overcame that thing. Yeah, but I need to have a place to, no, you don't, because I can name 5 people that are doing it without that. Yeah, but what I've got special needs children. Cool. Yep. We have those too. I've got, disabled. Okay. We're old. Yep. Okay. We know old people too. Well, I've got little kids. Okay. Like, well,
I got a lot of kids.
Yeah, you do.
A lot of kids.
Lots of kids.
The Stumps had them and 4 children in a camper trailer
Yeah.
for how long?
foot?
A small camper.
A small
trailer.
camper trailer.
7 months.
Yeah.
7 months.
What'd you say it was a 20 what?
27 foot.
27-foot camper trailer.
When we say
27
children, not all of them are this big.
No, they're
No.
teenagers.
Teenagers.
They're teenagers.
From young
And
teenagers
Caroline's
all the way
not
down
little.
to
Yeah. And so you're like, but I need a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath at a minimum with a 2.5 car garage because, like, you don't need any of that. What you need is food, water, shelter, some sleep, and probably some coffee tomorrow morning. That's what
And
you
yeah.
need. And
Yeah.
amen.
Yeah.
Right? It's like everything else is a nice to have.
Yep.
And I think that's one of those things too for those that are interested in moving out to the country and living a more rural lifestyle, what we affectionately call coming out of her my people. You need to begin the stress inoculation process now. Start learning to do with less now. Like, because the flip side of that is when you're very comfortable with nothing, everything else is a blessing,
Amen.
right? Like
Amen.
everything else is a blessing.
We
Like,
learned a lot from living in a camper.
Yep.
Now, we did it voluntarily on a piece of land when we were going to build a house before any of this was a thing.
Yep.
And dude, we learned a lot from that, on what we didn't need.
What?
We started getting like, okay, everybody gets 1 plate.
Yes.
Yep.
Because
I'm
I'm
going
not
back to
fitting
that.
20 people in the camper. You know?
I just told you, I'm going back to that, and we have a heck of a lot more space, and I'm running a heck of a lot more space, and I'm like, nope, 1 plate per person, done.
Nope.
Right, so wash it,
Deal
put it
Yeah,
back.
put it back.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
That
all
was
you
a-
need.
Big deal for me is getting comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable.
Yep.
And because what it does is, it not like you said, it inoculates you to it, and that line where you become uncomfortable, it shifts. It just gradually shifts over here, and a year later you realize, oh yeah, I mean, this would have made me uncomfortable a year ago, but now it's well within my comfort zone.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we now live in a 16 by 40 cabin. It feels like a mansion.
If you're comfortable, you're doing it wrong.
Well, and something like I mentioned that in a Patreon video today, where the discomfort might be you're living in a hammock. That's a physical discomfort. It might be that you're doing stuff like driving 3 hours to go see people.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not the same discomfort, but they're still doing something that's kind of out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, and another, and I don't want to minimize this either. So yes, I've spent nearly a year in a hammock, but I am surrounded by people that love me and will do anything for me.
Yep.
So, and I love them, and I do everything for them that I can. Like that's, and you and I were talking about that on a video on your YouTube channel earlier. That
Yeah, we were.
when you have people that you're aligned with, and for us that is Yah.
Mhm.
Yah is our cornerstone. He is the rock that we've built all of this on.
Amen.
When you have people that you can be that close with and that you trust, then it makes everything easier. Even living in a hammock, like I could not, as proficient at bushcraft as I am, and as with the experience I have of living in a hammock and whatnot, I would not be able to go to North Dakota and freaking live in a hammock for a year by myself.
Yep.
No, it's the people that make it possible.
That's something we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I couldn't live in a hammock for a year anywhere else.
Right.
Like I can live in the hammock here
Right.
for a year. I couldn't do it anywhere else.
Exactly.
And but that illustrates, perhaps for a lot of people to an extreme degree, the importance and the value of people around you, because you trade worldly comfort for the brotherhood and the fellowship and the richness of experience and belief that you get from being around your people. You don't need the fancy shiny things anymore. It doesn't matter. And like, and I'm in a station in my life now where like I'm unimpressed by it. Oh, you have a $90,000 pickup truck? I think that shit's stupid. They're like, oh, you got a massive house? Like, how in debt are you? Like,
Yeah.
what are you, a moron?
Well,
You know, like,
like-minded community.
yeah.
I honestly, like we've talked about numerous times, I could not live in a hammock for a year anywhere else, right? I can do it here, but I can't do it anywhere else. I also had reached a point where I couldn't live by myself in a $2,000 apartment with every amenity that you can imagine.
Yep.
Couldn't do that.
Yep.
Have to, like,
we left the richness of North Texas
Yeah.
for this because all of the facade, all the really nice stuff of North Texas wasn't worth it. And we still had people that we loved in North Texas, but and
half
the
of them are here now.
and half of them are here now. That's exactly right. Well, and sometimes that illustrates a point too. Sometimes you got to move, right? Like, and I don't mean like literally get the U-Haul, although that's what ends up happening, right? But like, Yah tells you to move, like make moves, do stuff. Like as Alex so succinctly puts it, do stuff.
I heard a good phrase that says, make moves or make excuses.
Exactly.
You do one or the other.
Exactly. And so sometimes you've got to be the first. You've got to make that move. And like I said, we were here for 6 months alone. And I was literally praying to the Father daily, like, why the hell are we here? Like, it's beautiful. We're blessed. WTF. What is going on? Like, what's the point in all this? And he was like, son, if you could just be, momentarily patient, I'm doing some stuff. I need you to just hang in there. Just hang in there for a minute. And
spring break capital of the
You might
world.
need a new rule.
With
The new
beautiful
rule is
beaches,
if Tommy or Renee
and
answer
this
a
is so
question,
much happier
just
here.
as if you answered it.
okay, a new rule for the.
Somebody said, I'm not asking the moderators the question. I'm asking Bear the question. I was like, oh, you just did not.
Who said that? Oh, Jacob? Oh, Jacob. Oh, Jacob.
Did you miss the rules at the beginning?
Jacob,
There are the moderators here.
do not wake the dragon.
Why?
If a blue wrench answers your question has been answered.
Yes.
The end. Speaking of which, shalom, Jay Johns. Shalom, Brother Dudley. Shalom, Sarah Hoskins.
I need Jay Jones.
Yeah, I miss some J. John hugs.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bear, what's the Discord channel? I have no
Patreon.
idea.
You have to be a patron.
You have to be a patron to get the Discord? Well, there you go. Patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. JS Badger runs it. He's doing a hell of a job. And yeah, and Patreon is $5 per month. There's a minimum of 30 pieces of exclusive content per month there.
Crawl himself out of that hole.
A minimum. What?
Somebody
Get
said,
Jacob
get
a
Jacob a ladder.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He's just new. He just doesn't know.
What do you think will happen to bring about societal collapse? I'm starting to think it'll be a climate disaster. Smokey McPot, first of all, interesting name. Second of all, you're living in the midst of it. You think society right now is on the up and up, like it's doing great, man, upward trends? No, it's going to be a combination of things. It always is a combination of things. What's going to happen is we'll reach a tipping point where that combination of things outweighs society's ability to counteract that combination of things. It will be a combination of external pressures through sanctions and war and geopolitical conflicts and internal conflicts with civil unrest and food scarcity and devaluation of the U.S. dollar, potentially economic crisis, if not economic collapse, exacerbated by supply chain issues. You add into that a whole bunch of political bullshit. And then what's going to happen? All of that's going to strain the entire system and people's willingness to participate in the system. and then something bad will happen. There'll be an acute issue, whether it's another Gulf of Tonkin incident that leads to global war, or it's a man-made or natural disaster or something like that. Something acute will happen, and then you'll have full-blown Bosnia-Herzegovina.
I mean, I just like the same thing.
Yeah, Timothy Young. Yes, we are in SHTF, and many will see that soon. See, that's the thing, man. You got to adjust your OODA loop. Right now, you're observing, trying to find out when we're going to be in SHTF, but you haven't actually oriented on the fact that we are in the midst of a collapse. It's happening. It's just slow. And actually, for those of us that have the scales fallen from their eyes, the slow collapse is a blessing. It gives us more time to do the things we're already doing. And it's part of why I lack patience a lot of the time when I talk with y'all, because I'm a bad apologist. I don't want to talk you into we're headed into a collapse. I don't want to talk you into, yes, things are bad. I want to talk to people that already acknowledge that we're headed in that direction. I'm not a good apologist. I'm not trying to convince you. If you don't agree or you're not looking in that direction, then I'm not your guy. Like, let's be frank, I'm not great at making new believers, but I'm pretty damn good at helping current believers grow stronger in their faith. Like, I'm not an apologist, and I don't have the apologetics as one of my muscles that I can flex. I'm much better at, once you acknowledge that we're here, let's take that acknowledgement and then grow from there, move deeper from there. And everybody here sees it. I think most of the people there in the chat see it, but if you're still looking for SHTF, you've missed the point. It began in February of 2019, hardcore, and it's going to ramp up from there. Glock 316, Shalom. Valentine's Broken Heart Kit. It's called the 2 for 25 off bucket promo at refugemedical.com. It has a red lid, and think of all the gauze that you can use on that broken heart.
Don't get me started on the gauze.
There's tape.
It gets me
Triple
excited.
antibiotics.
They gotta watch their
I don't-
piles of gauze.
I don't know that.
What's up, Jay
Is that
Morris?
you when you talk about guys? You're
I
watching your
think-
hands full though.
I think Jacob Israel gave you a shout out last week. I don't know who Jacob Israel is, so that's cool.
That name sounds familiar to me for some reason.
I don't know who Jacob Israel. I mean, Jacob is Israel in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
Right.
but he's been long dead for a long time.
No, but I think Jacob
You have to
Israel
settle
has
a
a Twitter
debate,
channel
apparently.
kind of similar to Fallen
Somebody
Sheep.
else.
Really?
Debate with a friend.
Okay.
Look it up.
Could be wrong.
Look it up.
It's a Jacob Israel.
Yeah.
Somebody has a debate with a friend. They need to know: military or contractor,
Me?
Neither. Not right now.
or none of the above.
You're owned either way. There you go.
Oh,
That's a good question.
they're
Or
asking,
If
should
you
they
were-
be or no?
No,
No, they're
if you
asking
were,
which-
were
No.
you
Never mind.
military?
Contractor.
Yeah, that's in the FAQ.
It's a
Somebody wants to know
YouTube
what
channel.
Your glasses are. Your
The
safety
ones
Rec
I'm wearing
specs.
are the ones I
safe-
wear for training.
No, your safety glasses.
Rec specs from Walmart. Yes, they are. And I've worn those things for years. I've sprayed all
And I
kinds
think-
of chemicals with them on.
Yeah. And honestly, I think you've only owned 3 pairs of them in the years and years.
Well,
and
and
years
one
that
of them
you've
I
had.
still have yet to use. They're brand new as
Yeah.
a backup.
So technically 2, and probably I would say a solid
and-
6 years.
And the lenses,
That's awesome.
actually, the lenses were transplanted because the straps stretched out
Yeah.
faster than the lenses. So I've only had one set of lenses that I've actually used.
Wow.
They're amazing.
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome.
Jacob Israel.
These I quite often have to snatch up when he's doing stuff in class and they start to fall off his head and he's having to put them back. I'm like, I put my hand out. He just hands them to me.
Yep. Like this
Yeah.
is ridiculous. Jacob Israel. Got 559 videos.
Okay.
175,000 people watching.
Nice. I guess I
The
should
people that
subscribe,
know
huh?
about Bayer.
Hey, if you got the link to him saying nice things about me, admin at admin@bearindependent.com.
And it's something.
Admin@something.com.
He's
I'd
got
like
really
to
good
see it.
thumbnails, I can tell.
Jay Morris. Yeah, he said Rex.
Yeah. Yeah, the rec specs. By the way, the rec specs guys, like to get them from Walmart part isn't a joke. That's where I got mine, and they were like $120
Yeah, they're super cheap.
when I got them. I ain't winning no like sexy awards, but they keep
Yeah,
my
you
eyes
are.
from getting destroyed.
What are your feelings on double drums to the AR
You win all the
platform?
awards.
They're cool but unreliable. I like the Magpul D60 drums the most for the AR platform.
Can I throw in my 2 cents on that?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
So the
I can't help it.
I'm going to
Living
shake
over
you,
here
brother.
busting a butt.
So I actually ran the double mag, the double drum,
Betamax?
the Betamax in
Uh-huh.
Afghanistan, and threw that thing away.
There you go.
I threw it away because I was in Afghanistan. I was like, this is going to get me killed. I was like, it's cool guy shit, but it is going to get me killed because it malfunctions so often.
Oh,
And that being said, we've run the 60 round PMAG
Yep.
numerous
Flawless.
times around here and at the range and whatnot, and it runs flawlessly. So yeah.
Well, here's a problem that I personally have with even the 60, even though it works.
Yes,
I'll
the
give
weight.
it that. No, actually, I'm big on weight limitation. I'm like nothing fancy with that crap.
How you gonna carry it?
No, not even that. It's actually that if it does have a problem, you have 60 rounds, and hopefully not by the time you've been spinning, that are stuck in that mag. That's the big problem that I have. And then everything else comes too. But like when you get one of those hundreds,
Uh-huh.
when it malfunctions because it's that unreliable, you now have what 70 rounds or however many is
Uh-huh.
left that are just stuck in this big weight
Yep.
that you can't fit in any normal mag pouch. You
Yep.
can't fit in most mag dump pouches. So I'm like, what the heck do I do with this thing?
Yep.
It's now a very heavy, useless item.
I
So-
had the advantage that I had a 200 round saw pouch that fit the Beta C mag, but most people don't
Yep.
carry that on their gear.
The
it was heavy.
good.
It was heavy.
The 60 round drum mag will fit in most dump pouches.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the ones we got from Sojourn Gear, it fits in there
yeah, it does fine.
just fine. And that's so that for me, if we're doing stuff, partisan shenanigans, I like the 60 round as my first mag.
Yeah.
Because that gets me through everybody else's mag changes.
Yep.
Well, God forbid you ever
So-
have like guard posts. But,
Yeah.
all right, if it ever gets that bad, maybe you do. Maybe it's all sandbagged up and camoed or something. Maybe if a guy's in a static position at that spot, maybe you got several of them just sitting there. I could maybe see that.
Oh, just throw it at the guy.
Well, I'll tell you, the primary downside of the 60 round mag is you can buy 10 30 round mags for the price of one 60 round
Which
mag.
is why I don't actually own one, even
Yep.
though they work. That's why.
Yep.
And I just want to highlight the fact that Sojourn's gear is awesome. Love his dump pouch. Love his tourniquet pouch, which y'all can't get yet, but I'm
Yep.
trying to convince him to keep making them.
We're going to be adding those to the Refuge store.
They're great.
Should we tell
Oh
them?
my
All of
gosh,
his
what are
gears
you
are
gonna
amazing.
tell them?
No, no.
What?
Should we tell them the
What are
big
you
news?
telling
What are you telling them?
What are you telling
The
them?
big news.
Can you like
Wow.
pause them or
The
something?
A one?
No, with the K one.
Oh, that is kind of
With
cool.
the A in the
That is
beginning
really
and the
cool.
K at the end.
The
The
Stairway to Heaven.
AK-47? Yes, the Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
Should we tell them the big news?
It is really cool.
It's really
Do
cool.
they want to know?
Do y'all want to know the big news? Anybody?
We
I
need
thought it
thumbs
was
up
like-
in the chat, people.
Earthman, yeah. Thumbs up if you want to know the big news. Send it. Econoste said send it. Shalom,
What's
Badger.
the K one?
All right, so Sojourn Gear is moving their operations under Refuge Medical's roof. And so we will have Refuge Medical, Refuge Training, and Sojourn Gear all under the same roof. And by the end of this month, and that's going to be awesome. That's going to help our fulfillment times be even faster. We're going to help Brother Cody staff up some so he can make even more pouches for us. And hopefully we've got some really cool products slated for 2022 as well.
That's why I thought you were going to talk about the A thing.
No,
That's
no,
what we
no.
asked.
We're not talking about the
Yeah.
A thing yet. I showed the A thing to
You did.
Patreon.
the Patreon,
Oh,
Patreon,
yeah.
Patreon patrons.
I heard they liked
And
relatively okay. Didn't
They had very good response.
Oh, good.
And no, Fluster Clark, the A thing is not another bear pillow.
No,
No.
no.
He really, or
Noob
they, I don't know
Adventures.
if it's a he or she, but they really want one.
Yeah.
They've joked about it quite a few times.
I'm actually
Thank you,
looking
Noob
at it.
Adventures.
I found one that
We've
Might
talked
work.
about a bear size
A
bear
body
pillow.
pillow, a body
But see,
pillow with bears
recently
in
I
it.
have
Then
found
TJ
one
didn't want
that's
holes
like
in it.
teddy bear size.
No, because
Yeah,
they're gonna
that's
carve.
what too.
They're gonna carve a hole in right in the middle of
Yeah,
it.
like a teddy bear size key.
We can't have them making attachments to this pillow.
No, you can have add-ons. There'll be add-ons.
The survival pouch is coming in the springtime, man. I've got the Surefire 60 quad stack in my 15 right now. Yeah, I've heard good things about those.
I swear, if they ever get a bobblehead of me, it's got.
Thank you, Stay Survive.
Like, hurry up, we die. It's gotta have that.
Oh, yeah.
a little.
You need a pull string.
Yeah.
Hurry up! You pull string in the back of it. Hurry up! You're dead. There's like a half-empty water bottle in one hand and the bobbly head.
Look like a drunken stupid.
We're
on the water route.
Yes,
We
the
gotta hit the
biscuit.
button that flings
The
it on you.
biscuit, Badger. I think the biscuit's actually a good name for it.
Which is the biscuit.
I told him, I was like, it would be awesome to have
all of a
like
sudden it
the
just
bear
springs.
line and then like the biscuit.
Yeah,
The
the
survival
Bear
biscuit.
Independent Survival Kit.
I like
BIS kit.
I had not heard that one.
Yep, Badger came up with that.
Badger comes up with great stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that stuff. So,
I also wanted to
When our
thank you
forces
for
combine.
influencing her to do the things.
I like it, Badger. That's probably going to be the name.
what else we
Badger
got,
and
chat?
GR, we-
Yeah, we got our.
So yeah, we're super excited to have Sojourn Gear under our roof, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
To
awesome.
make the rest of us feel, like midgets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and Cody's an awesome brother as
Yeah.
well. Like he's an awesome brother. So
Until he tries to high five you.
yeah,
Yeah. Low five.
well, and
It works on the jumping.
completely behind the scenes, this is something that we've been working on for over a year,
Oh, yeah.
like 15 months, 18 months. And-
he stayed at my house too.
What's that?
He stayed at my house too.
Yeah. Well, now we just got to get him a Jeep. He gets a wife.
You get a Jeep, you get a wife.
She might be lurking in the chat.
But-
Let's,
But
move
you
on.
gotta, you gotta wait like
No, I'm talking about Britain.
Liberty.
God, it's not all about
Liberty,
you.
Liberty and Yankee.
Not
about
over
Britain.
here. What the hell are we talking
You
about?
wait what, 7 to 12 months?
Liberty and Yankee.
What about the new buckets, Earthman 333? That's a Patreon conversation. What do you mean? What about the new buckets? What new bucket? What are you talking about, Earthman? What? Huh? I'm sorry if I offended you and your wife or any of the moderators. Jacob, apology accepted. Respect to
Why you
Blue
were
Ranches.
time out and not banned.
Well, he did
I
apologize.
Good job,
know,
man.
that's
Okay,
why.
well done.
That's
It takes
why.
guts to apologize.
Yeah.
Rock
Yeah,
on.
you're good.
Yep, that's awesome.
What mags are go no go in your opinion? Lancer mags, or I've used Lancer mags, the Hex mags, P mag Gen 2 and 3, and then the aluminum GI mags, and they're all fine.
Not Pro Max.
Yeah.
No.
No, not Pro Max. But
No.
I've also run ETS extensively, and they run well. They run as
I
well
know,
as the Lancer, in my
That's
opinion.
funny.
I had, so I just recently purchased more magazines myself. Paid up
JJ
ungodly
got that
prices for them,
message.
but just purchased magazines myself, and I bought PMag Gen 3s.
They
The,
are expensive, huh?
They are like
The
they're the least unreasonable of what's out there.
Marine Corps with the M27
Uh-huh.
IAR infantry automatic rifle is issuing PMAX standard.
Yep.
Like they work.
Yep.
You know.
They do.
Oh, if you throw them on concrete, they could crack. Yep. I can also with my bare hands, I can break a steel or aluminum magazine. So
Well, and if, like, not to call out someone else's channel, but Mr. Guns and Gear has some really good videos where he like froze some PMAX, and he does break the feed lifts. But that's a pretty extensive task. Like, he literally tells you in the beginning of the video that I watched on one time that he had it in his freezer for like literally 30 hours or something.
Yep.
That's not likely for most of us. Just being
Well,
honest.
no, so it's something to be aware of course, because
I mean, unless you live in a hammock.
I was gonna say my rifle was outside. It was in the teens.
Mhm.
It froze.
But your rifle did.
Yeah, and it malfunctioned because of the temperature. Right? It didn't break.
did you
but it
see Roman's
malfunctioned.
comment?
Yes.
Romans is good. Let him be.
Yeah. So it's something to be aware of. Now, on the converse side of that, the number and amount of times that you're going to have your magazine exposed to sub-freezing temperatures for more than a day straight is probably less than the number of times you're going to drop a magazine. And the problem with anything that has a metal, like the Lancer mags, even though they're polymer mags, they have the metal clips at the top, is that they will bend. And then you have feeding issues with that.
Where'd that bottle go?
By the way, I carry a Sig P320.
And is it still up for grabs?
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Hi, son.
By the way, I carry a Sig P320. Someone was commenting on how terrible Sigs are.
Well, but is it a Sig or is it like, you know, a stalwart peacekeeper?
I mean,
It's kind of a homebrew.
It's kind of a homebrew.
built it from scratch, so there is that.
It's kind of a homebrew.
Hey, Jonathan Prime said, "Hey Bear, thank you for talking to me last week about losing loved ones. My mother, aunt, and cousin. I lost all my aunt, mother, and cousin all in 1 week, and I'm struggling with my walk with God."
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, brother. I'll tell you this. I was just talking with a sister about this earlier today. Yah is not surprised by any of this. Like none of this, whatever it is you're going through, Yah's not surprised by any of it. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. Job, the story of Job. The primary lesson one could extract from the story of Job is this shit sucks. Praise Yah. And so your faith, I would encourage you to build your relationship with the Father in such a way that your faith is not predicated on things going well for you. And there's a lot more I could say about that, but I don't know where you are in your walk, and I don't want to discourage you. So what I'll say is that a true relationship, just like you think about a committed relationship to your wife or to your husband, is not predicated on you having good days only. It's when you're having really bad days that that relationship matters the most, that you're not going to just walk away from one another, that you still keep coming back to one another time and time again because of the love and devotion that you have for one another, that your relationship cannot be based upon things only being good, because things are never going to only be good. And it's the same way. See, the Father is there for you regardless of what you're going through. And everything you're going through is ordained. It didn't surprise him. It might have surprised you, but it didn't surprise him. And the last thing I'll say is grief is for the living. The dead feel no pain. And that's something that we have to onboard. I've had loss in my life as well in the recent past, and it sucks. It sucks. And you can feel the weight of that loss. You can honor that loss and not be crippled by it. And that takes time. But you can honor those people who are gone and still honor the fact that you're a husband, you're a father, you're a brother, you're a son. You have stations in life that you need to perform. You have things that you need to be doing that the Father fearfully and wonderfully made you for exactly this time. And that's not an accident either. And you need to step up to the plate, and you can honor the loss of people, but you can't be crippled by it.
I'd also, if you don't mind, I'd like to encourage on something. So if you've been to one of our Respond to One classes, almost everyone that I've ever participated in, I share a really heavy story that I'm not going to delve into now about my nephew dying at his birthday party. And the reason I bring that up is I point out that kid was really young, and it was this tragedy that nobody's going to deny. And I wouldn't want to repeat that. I wouldn't want to push that on anybody. But then I also realized that I've shared that story with at least 1,000 people. Yeah, at least 1,000. And there's no telling how far that has traveled. So it does make me ask the question of, man, why him? I don't get really an answer for that. But it does make me ask, why didn't I? Why am I still alive? And what can I do with that? And we've gotten the opportunity to share that testimony, hoping that it affects someone in a positive way. And so the way I look at it now is that kid was only alive for 2 years and 4 days. And in that 2 years and 4 days, he was a very joyful child. He had a lot of great experiences. He brought a lot of joy to other people. But since he passed, he's actually impacted thousands, because I'm not the only one that shared his testimony. And we don't always get to see how far the ripples in the pond go. So what do you, and this again, it's not meant as a critique on you, it's more of a general statement. What are you doing? You're not dead. What are you doing with their memory?
Yep.
And that's why I purposely bring it up in class, that's how I remember it.
And typically we're playing checkers and y'all's playing 3D chess.
Yep. Thank you to everybody for the super chats, by the way. I appreciate that very much. I'm not trying to ignore y'all, but I'm also not trying to interrupt this wisdom either. So thank y'all.
I am sorry he's going through all that pain, though.
Yeah, man. Well, our heart goes out to you for that. And it's perfectly healthy to grieve.
Yes.
It's not healthy.
It's necessary.
It's
Yeah.
necessary too.
Very necessary.
But your life didn't end. You're still here. And again, the father's not surprised by any of this. Thoughts on Washington State Magazine capacity ban? I live in Oklahoma for many reasons, and that's one of them. That's my thoughts. Logan Matthias, shalom, brother.
It was bound to happen in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see that one coming.
Favorite whiskey.
Favorite whiskey? The one I'm drinking?
Whichever one I'm drinking.
I
That's
like
some,
Oak and Eden recently.
Depends on why
I
they're
do,
asking.
yeah.
Blanton's.
yeah, I mean, I love Blanton's, but I am not in
Not
a
an everyday.
position to drink Blanton's every day. I drink Blanton's once per year, and that is on the first day of Sukkot. And by the grace of Yah, since the first time I got a bottle of Blanton's, I've never not had a bottle of Blanton's on the first day of Sukkot. And that's awesome. But I do not have a Blanton's everyday budget. And even if I did, I don't have the pull it would take to have a bottle every day of Blanton's, because you can't just get it,
No.
So, I mean,
That screwball's pretty darn good.
yeah, it's we've single-handedly raised their value, their company value of Screwball. So, Caleb Aarons, thank you.
Bottle of Jack.
Hey, T, you got the bottle up there of the Forester stuff?
Literally
I
right
was
there
going
on
to
your
show them
foot.
because this stuff's really good.
Favorite AK-74 optic, 5.56 rated or 7.62. Old Forester.
Oh, that stuff is really
Yes, who bought that?
Hey, honey,
good.
can you
Hilarious name.
hand me the training rifle over there, please? The one with the drum mag in it? The training rifle?
Yeah.
YouTube, this is a training rifle. Todd, it's a training rifle. This is a training
Did you see?
This is a
rifle
paintball
only.
gun, isn't it?
This is, yep, it's for training purposes only.
Yeah, it's a paintball gun.
Training rifle. Thank you. This right here. Primary arms, 2x magnifier with the ACSS reticle in it. Absolutely love this. Prism optic. It's a great training rifle optic. Training rifle. Did I say the word training rifle enough, Joyce C?
Bless you, Chad.
Thank you, Joyce. Praise the Father. So, yeah, Primary Arms makes awesome stuff. I have another Primary Arms box around here somewhere. I got another one in the house.
Yeah, we need like mail.
Yeah.
Too.
So here's the deal. Primary Arms now sends me optics for testing and evaluation. Before they did that, I owned 8 of their optics. Let me repeat. Before they were like, hey, you're cool. Can we send you stuff for testing and evaluation? To which I said, yeah. I owned 8 of their optics. 2 prisms, 2 scopes, big scopes, 4 to 14s, and 1 to 8, and 3 1 to 6s. That's how much I believe in that company. And they're excellent. They're absolutely excellent. They're high value. They're definitely rugged. I've yet to break anything from Primary Arms. And I have shot my Primary Arms 1 to 8 on a 5.56 with a 16-inch government profile barrel using the ACSS reticle out to 700 meters and connected with a 5.56 with declination at 700 meters with you.
Yep.
In New Mexico.
That was a
Yep.
lot of fun.
That was a blast.
We were consistently hitting a big old rocket 440.
Yeah, consistently.
Ow, that's my finger.
Yeah, it took me 2 rounds to get on target.
Yeah.
And then I went 28 for 30
Yeah.
at 440
Yeah.
With that same reticle.
That was a cool experience. In fact, that created a really cool
Thanks, Tuba
conversation
Tuba.
about optics at the time,
Yep.
because there is such thing as too cheap, and there is such thing in my mind as too expensive.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. Unfortunately, that conversation is no longer on the internet for reasons, but that's okay.
But the ideas remain.
Yes, Raven, 700 meters with a 16-inch government profile 5.56 using a 1-to-8 primary arms. But for your AK variant training rifle, I really love this 2X Prism. Like, I really like it a lot because, frankly, I'm not going to shoot the AK past 300 meters and realistically probably 100. And so the 2X helps with PID, positive identification of the target, but it also gives you enough magnification for my eyes in there in order for the reticle to work for your holds for BDC. They make a 1X prism as well. They make a 3X prism. I like the 2X because you can still quite easily CQB with a 2X, but you can also make some pretty accurate shots with a 2X. So
For your paintball enthusiasts.
yeah, for your paintball enthusiasts, airsoft guys out there, I like drum mags on my airsoft rifles. They're pretty fabulous.
You know what's
How's
funny?
that mead doing?
Dude, that stuff's
fantastic.
fantastic.
Is
You gotta try it.
Sure, I haven't tried it.
It's that good.
Blackberry,
That's sweet.
mellow.
There's no-
Blackberry, eh?
You know,
Check out this Stein, by the way, y'all. Look at
It's
this.
I
beautiful.
got my kids today.
Yeah, we just got our kid in.
Oh, you got your brewing kit?
Oh, that's cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Feeling Viking yet?
You have to do my taste tester.
I'm gonna go invade Europe.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
So a student gave this to me at a train.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
That's
amazing.
cool. All I got was bad looks from yelling at him.
It's
You
really
had
cool.
COVID at the time, so it's all right.
Oh, that training.
It's really cool to have become known on the internet as the guys you should bring whiskey and cigars
Very much
to.
so.
Like, it really is. Like it's really cool. Like I genuinely appreciate that. People will show up to class or they'll show up to events and they're like, "Hey man, I brought you this bottle." I'm like, "You're awesome. Thank you."
Something that's become kind of a staple in my house, besides my wife's awesome food, is if you come and stay the night at my house, you tend to leave with medical stuff. I noticed that. Yeah, like her mom did when she came to visit, and her mom is like not that person. And she was
Right.
asking about tourniquets, and I was like, I get a call from her.
I
She's
know,
like, "Hey,
my mom left with
what do you
medical
think if I
stuff.
give her an eye pack?" I was like, "You joking?" Yes.
It's literally
My
what
mom
you do.
stabbed herself in the leg.
Me too,
and
Dr. Trevor.
She had to get her 4-inch mini ETD replaced.
I heard
Yep.
that the doctor at the hospital was like, "Man, where'd you get this quality item?"
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
like, he walked in and she like raised up the cover, because she was like covered with the sheet, and he was like, "Oh," and she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where did you get that? Like, how did you know how to do this?" And she's like, "My husband and
There's
or
a phone call.
my my
Son-in-law.
daughter and son-in-law own a medical company."
I'd like to also
And-
say that if you think that you got to the emergency room and your problems are solved, you are wrong.
Yeah.
I've sat there next to a guy with a mental subject before in the trauma bay, in the triage area at a hospital when I was a cop. And this guy sitting next to me had severed all 4 of his fingers and had been sitting there more than an hour when I left him.
Yeah.
So I'd been sitting there an hour with this person, and they literally put a towel over it, and they hadn't even gotten him a Tylenol yet.
Yeah.
Nothing. And he severed all 4.
Yep.
And a separate guy he whipped out, which is why that doctor thought it was so cool you had a trauma bandage for your mom. This guy, he came in and had cut his whole hand with a sawzall, had a pretty significant gash, and he rolls in and his buddies had taken paper towels and electrical tape
Yep.
and wrapped him up. And so I go over with him. I was like, again, I was with a different mental subject. I was like, buddy, you mind if I wrap that with something better?
Killing me.
I know. Well, I thought she was gonna pass out. Like
You're making
she
me
called
quit.
me right when it happened, and I'm like, Mom, where's your kit? And she's like, out in the van.
Yep.
Like, go get it
So-
now.
Yeah.
Like
And
Castle said, you need to make PT with Bear a regular thing.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You remember Frank?
I remember Frank. 100-pound hail, brother gas, right?
Is it?
Let's see. Hey, Bear, I'm making the move to Missouri from California. It has taken a while. Say a prayer for my family and I. Hawk out. Roger that, Hawk. Congratulations, man. I'm heading to Tampa from New Hampshire in mid-March. Any classes on the way there? Refugetraining.com.
Yeah. I think.
Is there a 365 hard program? It's called Live Hard, and it is. It's called Live Hard, and you should Google it. Is he all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids are about to pass out.
Oh, it's 9.
They're like,
Yeah.
bedtime. Yeah.
Y'all got to bounce.
Mine looks pretty
Yeah, I think we're about to have that out.
Ote.
No. They're
See you,
actually
man.
out. They have
Thanks for
their-
coming, brother.
Thank
Yeah,
you
they
too, man.
switched
Appreciate
Yeah,
the
man.
invite, dude.
When I showed
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And
See y'all soon.
They were supposed to be out.
You ready, buddy? You
Friday,
your shoeless
so
self.
they switched
Kansas
it.
City, Missouri. Here. Cut off 4 fingers. Fun times.
Shalom. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Everybody.
Shalom.
He said,
Some of that notification of the shirts got shipped.
I know.
yeah, so the
They shipped out 100.
uncomfortable homestead and capital teas are starting to ship. They got delayed. Number one, we had a ton of orders.
Yeah.
Number two, we had a winter storm. And number three, it's a very small mom and pop shop that makes these. So it's, yeah, it's going to take a hot minute to
Yeah.
get them all out.
And if
But
you
they
haven't
are coming.
ordered it yet, this is the only month to do it.
That's correct. They are gone the end of this month. You have 18 days to get them, and I wouldn't sit on it. I wouldn't slack.
No.
The link is in the description as always. You can also find them on the store at bearindependent.com. So, bought 2 ungovernable t-shirts. Got notified today they shipped. Can't wait. Awesome. Maybe a third. Awesome. Thank you, Wilderness Bushcraft. You're good. I just thought you were Twitch for a minute. I was like, I thought you just left. Right. I asked the question the wrong way. I apologize again. Any of you can answer. If a person does not believe in Jesus Christ and is trying to join your group, what do you do? Well, if you're trying to join my group, we're not recruiting, and the Father is recruiting for us, which means that you wouldn't get here because you're not a believer. So that's pretty much that. And for anybody else's group, you need to decide what is important to you. And then if people fall inside of those parameters, good to go. If they fall outside of those parameters, not good to go. But you need to decide what you are looking for in people. So that shirt may get you on a government list. Bro, I'm on YouTube talking about partisan tactics and strategy. I am the government
I
list.
did say that though. That was definitely part of my like.
Yeah.
It was. That's why
Are
there's
we really-
two designs.
Do we really? Are we really?
That is
saying
why
after the
there's
government?
two designs.
And most people bought both. That
Right.
was the crazy
Mhm.
part. They have the like
Yeah.
inside the shirt house, outside the shirt house.
Because I
When you
designed
wear to grandma.
the capital T,
Mhm.
and Sanctified Lucia designed the homestead T.
Yep.
And so
It was actually JT's idea.
yeah.
The homestead was?
Mhm.
And
Well, the capital was my idea, and you made it.
I
She
made
made it
it
cooler.
fruition.
All,
Yeah.
all I did was like say, hey, I'm thinking this, and then you
Yeah.
made it happen.
Yeah. So, but they have two different like FU meanings.
Yes, but they are both middle fingers towards
Right.
the government.
Towards
Yeah.
that.
that literally says ungovernable on the front of it.
Right. It's
And-
just
And I mean that
Yeah.
just as much as I mean the unafraid shirt. There is
Yeah.
one thing I fear, and he is the creator of the universe. Everything else can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Fear other than fear of Yah comes from the enemy, because it's a distraction from the fear of Yah. And of course, the enemy is going to want you afraid of anything but the creator of the universe. And I, just as much as I believe that, I believe that we are all, especially under this current regime, we should all be ungovernable. That is the American spirit. You
Right.
don't get to tell me what I can and can't do. Period. The end. As long as I'm not actually harming somebody, I have the God-given, constitutionally protected right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I will engage in that, whether you think you need to give me your permission or not. I could care less. I'm going to do what I need to do to protect and provide for my family, to raise my children up in the way that they should go, to put a covering over my wife, to work this land, to do what the Father has called me to do. And I don't care if you think I have a right to do that or not. I know that I do. Thus, ungovernable. Thus, kiss my hairy white ass if you're even going to attempt to tell me what I can and can't do. And that's not bravado. These people live with me. They have to experience this on the daily. Like, it's real.
Someone had a good question.
What's that?
It's like, how can I be productive in a mag if I'm handicapped?
I've answered that question 100 times on
I
Patreon.
think there's videos on that.
There's questions here on YouTube, or videos here on YouTube as well.
Combo #1. Like,
What can you do? Define handicap.
Yeah.
Like, man, there are vertebrae in my back that just don't want to play some days. Does that make me handicapped? How are you handicapped? Like,
cooking, combo.
where
There's
can you
so
plug
many
in? Plug in where you can plug in.
Kids teaching.
My
How much you can
boyfriend
do and do it.
doesn't see the need for an expensive first aid kit. I hope he never does. In the meantime, it's my favorite gift for family members. Thank you, Sheila. Well, I hope that he never has to use that kit. But I'll tell you what. First of all, regarding expensive, the BearFact 3.0 is the same price as the MyMedic Advanced kit. They're the same price. The foundation of our kit is a Cat Gen 7 tourniquet. You know the tourniquet that's in the MyMedic Advanced kit? A rat's tourniquet, which isn't actually a rat's tourniquet because they got sued out of existence because it's not a tourniquet. It's not the MyMedic Advanced kit is a boo-boo kit. You want a boo-boo kit? Cool. We sell those too. Go to Walmart and buy a box of Band-Aids and a roll of tape. Boo-boo kit. Like, it's a piece of shit garbage kit that creates a false sense of security in the owner. That's not what the BearFact is. It's designed to save lives. It saved 33 lives to date. So I hope your boyfriend never does need an actual blowout kit, an actual trauma kit, because that would mean something bad has happened. But if you do, you can buy whatever Chinesian bullshit kit you want and hope that it's going to work, or you can buy one that's actually saved 33 people's lives in the last 2 years. So, and that's the thing. It's one of the things that sets us apart. It's like, we're not good idea fairies. We don't just come up with shit because we think that it would be a good idea. Like, we built the BearFact to work the March algorithm. The March algorithm has been proven out over 20-some thousand casualties in the global war on terror over the last 20 years. Like, there's science in that kit.
Your kids don't come with a mommy kiss and a tampon.
No, they do not. There's no, you know what? There's also not a rape whistle or a glow stick in our kits, unlike the MyMedic. And so they got us beat there as well. Sorry. Kevin F., I have a small amount of money in the stock market. Been thinking about taking that money and investing it in land. Just crash. Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Get home safe. Have a good evening.
See y'all.
Inevitable stock market crash has me on an edge. Yeah, bless you, Bear and Bear Nation. Thank you, Kevin F. So I have zero money in the markets right now. And again, to taking investment advice from a guy that tucks the sideways iPhone on a porch in Oklahoma is probably a bad idea. I'll be the first one to admit that. I will also tell you that I don't owe a single dime in debt. And a lot of my assets are physical assets. I can lay my hands on them right now.
No.
What are we
only
gonna
Bo.
do? A rave?
Bo cannot be a new option.
Are we raving with our kids?
Bless you, Sheila Downing. Thank you.
Look at the guy said is like, what's your life?
I hope you never have to use it, but I'm glad you have one if you do.
What's your life?
Your next step, Sheila, is come to class so we can teach you how to use it.
Which kit comes with a crayon?
So we don't talk about which kit comes with crayons.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. But sometimes you need a snack. That's all I'm gonna say. Best color of glow sticks. Purple.
The new kit. The
Hi,
rave
son.
kit.
What are you doing?
Standing out here.
Sounds like fun.
How's your day?
Good.
Oh, they left their chairs. Okay.
Did you learn anything new?
No, we didn't really do anything because yesterday there's like nobody there.
I was trying to get him to say what he always says.
It's all good, A7. Is John Willis from SOE Tactical going to make you some tactical socks to wear with your Crocs? Great question. So John and Amanda were going on about whether or not I wear socks with my Crocs. And the answer to that is no, but I do wear, I've just been rocking covert threads for the last 18 months or so. Yeah, I'm very particular about socks.
You should. Well, if John Willis wants to make them and send them to you to T&E,
Yeah.
we can
Well,
do that.
So I'm outside pretty much all day, every day. And I do a lot of rucking, and I do a lot of working on the homestead and stuff, and like good socks. It's a thing.
The main thing is rucking. Anyone who has done any extensive rucking, they know that socks matter.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany's first ruck
My
ever.
first ruck with low socks is
Oh, you had
Yes.
bloody
Oh,
ankles.
Yeah.
Such bad blisters.
And she still went 3 more miles.
I was gonna say, I did my first ruck was 4 miles.
Yep. Your first ruck ever was
And my
4
shoes,
miles.
In,
my
like,
sneakers
Converse?
had blood on them by the end of it.
Yep. Bad
Socks
news.
matter.
Socks matter. Exactly.
Socks
I
matter.
didn't bring tennis shoes.
And actually, it
White
was
material.
actually your husband that turned me on to covert threads,
Yeah.
and they're great socks. So now John and Amanda from SOE are awesome human beings. I don't know whether or not they're going to make tactical socks at any point, but if they do, I'll buy some of them because SOE makes awesome stuff. But yeah, they're great people.
Socks in my Crocs.
We
That's
may
marketing right there.
collab on a thing later this year. I'll just leave it at that.
I just want to point out Jimmy James has some awesome quotes going
He
on.
does.
Jimmy James, is he rolling hard?
He's rolling good.
Jordan 406 said, Bear, cheers from Montana. I appreciate you, brother. Random question. I carry 10 millimeter. Ha ha. Better than your 45. Debate the calibers. So first of all, I won't debate the calibers. Second of all, my penis is sufficiently large for me to not care what size caliber you carry. Lastly, lastly,
We are after hours,
That's
right?
fine.
After 9?
the children have left the porch. Lastly, it depends on what loading you're carrying in 10 millimeter, because a lot of those 10 millimeter loadings have been nerfed. If you're shooting anything that's approved by the federal government for use in like a 10 millimeter handgun for like federal law enforcement, you might as well shoot a 40 caliber. So all that being said, whatever floats your boat, man, that's fine. It almost reminds me of those people that have like the pickup trucks with the fake nuts hanging underneath the trailer hitch. Like, whatever. Okay, cool. You would be just fine with a 22. Oh, Jacob, get that ladder back out.
No, how much stuff do I kill with the 22 though?
How many things do you kill with the 22 that might be better killed with something else, though?
But
Also,
it's
like,
Hey, I took out that possum with the 22.
hit a bunch
You
of
also
You
shot a
hit
bunch
it
of other
like
shit that
10
ran
It
away.
took like 8 or 9 rounds.
Yeah.
They kept coming back.
That does not count.
Hey, it died eventually.
I watched
No.
my husband shoot a rooster off this
Like
porch
2
that I
shots
tried
are
to
my
for
max.
first date.
Yeah, remember that?
I
Yeah.
remember.
And then we butchered them.
Yep.
That was their first date.
Their
My
first
first
date,
date
butchering
in-
chickens on the homestead.
Oh, that's right.
I
Jimmy
know,
James
you
was in
missed
San
it.
Antonio.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Yeah.
James was.
Turkey butcher.
That's the time that you outshot him?
Who?
Thank you
Oh,
for
no, that's
reading
not
or
you.
Savior. I had a
They
stroke
outshot
2
him.
years
Was that
ago
22 or?
and have trouble
yeah, that
reading
was
at
a
all, but
rooster,
listening,
but yeah,
reading
it was
along helps me
22.
much. Barn Rat,
Yeah.
bless you. Bless the Father. Praise the Father, man. I've used 10 for a while and bears correct on the loadings that the caliber most factory loads are underperformance for the potential.
That's a good
Thanks,
video to
Christopher
bring up.
Fisher. I don't know everything, but
I know.
you know, I try not to speak
You
on
know
the
what you
things I
do? We
don't
should just
know.
Keep reading the comments and
Yeah.
we ignore it.
I think you should repost the chicken hunting competition that we did.
Okay. Apparently, I also need to repost the World Without Pants video.
Yeah, that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
People need to see you with no pants.
Did
Since
I
got
only
that-
do that on Patreon?
I don't
Was
know.
that all it
So,
was?
I mean, I would assume you probably.
I just think it was
did.
weird. I didn't remember it. I must have been trying to
Does that mean
deny
it's
it.
approved for me? I have it.
She's like,
Brittany's
I found
can I
it.
use it? Can I
Go
use
on
it?
Yeah.
TikTok.
Go ahead, put it on TikTok.
Okay.
By the way, there is a Bear Independent TikTok that I found out about yesterday, and I am in no way involved with it other than I'm on it. So, but Liberty is running the show over there at the
It's
Bear
just
Independent TikTok.
Shorts of your actual YouTube videos.
It's just shorts of my actual YouTube videos, and apparently a
So
video
you're
of me in shorts that's not on YouTube as well.
Oh.
So,
There's an RM TikTok. So.
Yeah.
yeah,
Go on
there's a
TikTok.
Refuge Medical
Go share
TikTok
that.
as well. I just carry these hands. All right, Frank. Would Mashiach carry a piece? If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Luke 7:26. Yeah. By the way, not only would he carry a sword, if he is the high priest in the order of Melchizedek, he'll be adorned with a sword. And if you read Revelation 19, he bodies everybody who's not a believer and walking in the ways with a sword. So yeah, he'd carry a
It's
sword.
like a really sharp sword.
It's a super
really-
sharp sword.
Really big, really sharp.
Kills everybody.
Yep.
Everybody who's not on Team Yeshua gets killed. So, hoofda.
Sell your Xbox and get one. Good one, Frank.
Just done repost the shower soap nuts video, Bear.
He almost lost his way to do that video.
Yeah. Hey, man. That was a good video, too.
Nothing's better than Tommy's nuts.
No, my nuts are the best.
Would you recommend Bud's pants? I don't know.
Oh my God.
Who's Bud?
Best of
I know.
week.
Like a
Vacation week is like best of.
Bear, what's your opinion on the slingshot? I'm terrible with one.
That'd be good for some coat.
Oh, that'd be good.
Rocky Patel on me. Thanks, Darren. Or Darren Earp1. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I want to know what you think of crossbows.
Crossbows? I'm not Canadian. I don't need one.
He bought his wife one.
I think that if you have a crossbow, I'm going to stand outside of the range of the crossbow and show you how good a primary arms 1 to 8 is. That's what I think.
It's maybe for sport, like to kill, hunt. And,
I just bought a real bow for that, though, like crossbow.
So
Yeah,
here's the
your bow's
thing.
Nice.
Here's the thing. A lot of people will bring up stealth, and stealth has its place. And especially if we're talking about hunting, food procurement, bows and crossbows have their place. As a defensive / offensive weapon, no, absolutely not. No, because if it comes time to we need to put rounds on target, that's what people are for. That's why one of the many reasons you need people is security. And if you're trying to affect personal security with a crossbow, negative. Comma.
But Bear, I have 200 people in my mag, and we're gonna line up with longbows like the English. Dark in the sky.
That's fine. You know what the effective range of a longbow was? Max 250 meters.
so they stood at
Cool.
251.
Yeah. You know what the effective range of an AR-10 is? A lot more than 250 meters.
700?
Yeah, but
1100 with the right
I
loading.
used my crossbow as a rifle rest.
That's funny. Well, tell that to John J. Rambo. You know, it's such a shame that Stallone is such an effing liberal moron
Yeah.
because some of his movies were so good. I mean, you know, it's just tremendous.
The Indians lost because we had guns.
That's true. It's absolute. Well, and smallpox blankets. We also had that.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely true. Obviously you guys haven't seen Rambo. Obviously that's a work of fiction. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's not a single military in the world issuing crossbows right now. Okay, just checking. Somebody fact check me.
There's a mag-fed crossbow. You want to know what I want? Like, as far as like off the wall
Let's hear this.
weaponry,
Uh-huh.
the like,
Like a freeze drum.
no, it's like a belt-fed like framing nailer.
Oh yeah.
That
I
like
just saw an
automatic
advertisement
framing
for
nailer, like you could just like go to freaking
What's the
town
range
on
on
that.
it?
I don't know.
Is that range
But
better than
like-
a crossbow?
Punch somebody full of nails. Like
I just
This
saw
is what
like
she dreams
You want to
about.
like
I
pin them up
just saw-
against
You
the
got a
wall?
perfectly good AR-15 hanging up on the
I
wall in
know,
there.
but just something about
Framing nails.
framing
I
nails.
just saw an advertisement
You
for
can pin them
Milwaukee
against the wall.
framing
Yeah,
nailer
like nail them up to the wall.
that has a drum on the a drum magazine.
Oh my gosh.
I can shoot him with a
Belt fed
crossbow.
framing nailer.
Oh my gosh. Nunchucks. Come on, Tamar. Now you're gonna tell me nunchucks are worthless? What about, all right, true confessions time. When I was a kid, when I was like 10 years old,
Yep.
I ordered one of those ninja grappling hooks out of the back of a magazine for like
Uh-huh.
$9.95.
Little-
Turns out it doesn't make you any better at climbing. Like I fell off all kinds of shit with that
Like
thing.
a claw one?
No, I had the ninja claws too.
Okay.
Expanding
Grappling hook.
grappling hooks.
Yeah.
Like, it's
You
like
throw up on
close
the
up,
roof
you
and it
throw it,
catches?
Oh, okay.
catches.
And it's like comes with 100 foot of rope. It's
Right.
like this isn't even paracord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was straight. That was not rope.
Throw it over the roof, hook it onto a cow, and then
All they did was they took all of the tripwire clearing launcher grapples,
Tropic Thunder.
string with a grappling hook they used to shoot out. They took all those from Vietnam like surplus
Oh,
and
I
resold
follow
them to all the kids that wanted to be ninjas.
How about a mace? So a mace is a good melee
Yeah.
weapon.
I like
Hey
maces.
son, you got shoes on?
No.
No. All right.
I like
Will you
maces.
go put my phone in next to the
I'm particularly fond of.
And then throw shoes on and go out front and get something for me real quick.
What is something?
So look at the grill.
Okay.
Okay. Out front. And then look to the right of the grill. And there's something about this long.
Okay.
Bring it here, please. It's also
Think
shiny on
about
one
this
end.
one.
It's also shiny on one end.
I recently just came across like
Your kid is a grapple.
stranded people on TikTok that are they're like doing their zombie apocalypse, you know, into the world type stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it's a collection of fabricators, like people that do custom knives and stuff like that, making maces out of salvage.
Okay.
So I literally saw a dude, it was like a 2-inch steel pipe that he had taken the metal backplate of a bunch of brake discs. Brake caliper, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Brake caliper discs. Took the compound off and took the metal backing piece. He put 6 of them around and then sharpened the
Oh,
bat wing sharp shaped side of it. It
gnarly.
looked nasty.
Gnarly.
I was like-
So the thing with melee weapons is they need to be heavy enough to do damage when they hit, but they need to be light enough to stay nimble. Because if you miss with your first shot, everybody's seen Braveheart, right? How many, they go and they whoosh, and they miss, and now you've got this, pole axe or something stuck into the ground, and the guy comes up beside you and tomahawks you in the ribs.
Yeah.
Now your spleen's laying on the ground, right? So you don't want it to be unwieldy.
Chris Bibby mentioned something that I've also thought about doing. painting one of my ARs like a Nerf gun.
Just have a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had too many kids running around camp, and we'd have Nerf guns. So that's not the reality, but
Baseball bat works for the mafia. Yeah, I agree with that.
Have you seen the whole
You
like?
need a baseball bat with a sock.
They say you put a sock on the baseball bat, so when you hit him the first time, they grab the sock and pull it off. And I was like, just have a gun. Just think,
That's the thing.
make sure you put a sock on your bat.
Let's talk about melee weapons.
That's like a teenage thing.
The sock on the bat.
Putting your sock in a bat.
Pretty sure that's a doorknob. It's not a bat.
That's okay.
That's not what you said like 10 minutes ago.
You're a teenager.
Look at that. Helco work. 3 3/4 pound filling axe with maybe the most perfect axe handle I've ever
I
held.
was like, screw it.
Oh, leopard print blankie? It looks good on you.
I was eyeballing it for a while, and I was like, but it's leopard print. And I was
So,
like,
You know,
it's fine.
melee weapons.
Exactly.
Hey, check out the handle on that.
Nice.
I like my axe. I did. I stole it from Dad.
I like how straight it is. honestly.
I love it.
So there's no like
3.5
curve to
pounds.
it.
Yeah, the fawn's foot on it
But
is
it's got
very.
enough of
But I
a
cut the tree
Yep.
off.
pommel on it almost.
I love it. It might be the best axe handle I've ever held.
For that size, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is called the D-Limmer 9000.
This is the defacer. If you get within melee range, it's like nice face. I'm gonna put it on the ground now. Bear, I have prepped ever since Y2K. Never kept my grains in buckets like you said. Just this year, Weevil's 900 pounds of food, Mylar bags and buckets from now on. You were right. Stephen Armstrong, I am sorry you lost 900 pounds of grain. Well, brother, I'm sorry you had to learn that lesson, but do it right next time. And I just want to reiterate, I don't talk to y'all about stuff I don't know. If I tell you something, it's because I've done it. And I know what to do, mostly because I've learned what not to do. I've made a lot of mistakes, and what I'm trying to do is keep other good people from making the same mistakes I did so that you can make more progress faster than trying to figure it out on your own.
Hey, before you wrap that up, can you show them the label? They're asking. They didn't catch the brand of axe.
Oh, it's a Helco from Germany. Helkowerk. This thing, I love this thing. Love this. Like, this is, so I've got several Holtzbrook axes, a couple of Grantsfors I've got several other different axes. This might be like the most quintessential like man axe that I own. Fiskars. I just tested Fiskars for the for Patreon. I'm not gonna. I tested the Fiskars axes against Holtzbrook axes, which is a Swedish company. They make excellent axes. And so that video is coming out on Patreon. I have a lot of axes. I have a lot of splitting mauls, and I use a lot of axes. And I love this thing. Like, I love it. I'm almost like looking for melee combat opportunities at this point. Put it over here next to my training rifle.
Right.
There we go.
So Texas Tenaris asked about rainwater collection, and I figured I'll start off and you can finish up what I leave out.
Okay.
So it very much matters what the roof is made of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that determines what that water you collect can be used for. If you have like an asphalt roof, you have to be worried about chemicals leaching out. If you have a metal roof, you have to worry about debris. You have to worry about a first flush system then. And then it's about proper channeling and having seamless gutters.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and pre-filtration is too, as well. Your downspout, so you should have a stand tube that the debris, as it falls from the gutter, any debris that's in there, goes to the bottom of the tube, and then the water fills back up and then pours out of there into your rainwater catchment.
That's a first flush system. So
Yep.
first water comes in, fills up that tube, and all the debris goes in it, and then it overflows into your storage, and then you release the cap on the bottom of that, and it flushes that first water out.
Mm-hmm. Dean Carey, sub brother. I live here in Los Angeles, California, and recently had my truck window busted. To get my get home bag, taking about $400 worth of gear. Sucks, but God is still good. Agreed. God is still good. I think, brother, you should run from LA. What other questions we got?
Somebody's trying to get you guys to put on a tourniquet.
And they were like, shot in the left arm, bang, bang. And then somebody else came back with, oops, you missed. I love our people. They're funny.
But I would say to that, like, you have been shot in the left arm.
Go for it.
We've
put
all
on
done
your
it again, right now. No, not you, babe. Them.
No, them.
I know. I know.
You gotta do it. How's Frito pie? Frito's good.
Frito's great. Baby Jack got
Rehomed.
donated to a new home.
How many oxygen absorbers per food bucket?
You
It
ever noticed?
depends on what you're putting in it and how big your bucket is.
Approximately
Approximately
2,000 to 2,500 cc's per 5-gallon bucket. So this is a soft tee. It's one of the many tourniquets that I carry. And I don't know if you noticed, but I just very leisurely put it on my left arm in well under 30 seconds. And you can tell from the vascularity in the back of my hand, it's already starting to work. And I don't like this tourniquet to use for self-aid for y'all unless you train with it extensively. And I do train with this one extensively, which is why I can put it on one-handed, either hand, and make it work. But it's not nearly as good for self-aid as the Cat Gen 7 tourniquet is, which is why we use the Cat Gen 7 as the primary tourniquet in our kits at Refuge Medical. So
Yes, over a jacket can be fine. There's an extent where the jacket will impede compression.
Yeah, I would not put one on my jacket because I'm wearing two.
Yeah, 2 layers.
Oh,
so
I
you're
could get
dressed
you.
up like an Eskimo.
I'm sure you could, but let's not go there, okay?
That's why you also have trauma shears.
yeah, well, life number 33, the guy was talking about Carhartt jacket, and wow, you know, who'd have thought a pair of trauma shears would come in such handy? Like, yeah, dude, there's a reason they're in the kit.
But let's reiterate, NAR trauma shears.
Yes, real.
Not mimetic trauma shears.
Real
'cause
trauma shears.
Mimetic trauma shears won't even cut through a piece of paper.
That is true.
Yep.
And
Very true.
I
Like-
took my bare hands, the MyMedic trauma shears, and I went like this and snapped them in half. And that's not like commentary on the strength of bare hands. It's a commentary on the strength of their shears. It's trash.
They are
Absolute trash.
horrendous.
And that's obviously this is what we do. We get a little worked up talking about this stuff, but there's a reason we spec the equipment that we spec. There's nothing that we put in our kits that's not battle proven. And if it's good enough to save people's lives overseas, it's good enough to save your life in the minivan or at the office. And there's lots of thousands of Bearfax, praise the Father, that have been electively taken overseas on 4 continents with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, because our kits are way better than what they're issued. So yeah, there's no junk in there, and there's no filler. There's a reason there's no glow stick in our first aid kit, because you don't effing need it. We're not going to have a rave as we're wound packing. Like, that's not hurry up, you're dying. You're bleeding.
So Alex actually had a really good question.
Good job, Alex.
Should a guy be bulking up for SHTF or leaning out?
You-
Lean and mean or big and dumb? But
So
the first part of that question was excellent. Should you
We
be
do real
leaning out
things.
or should you be bulking up?
you should be fit and strong is what you should be. If and I'm not giving you permission to be fat here, says the guy who's done 75 hard twice in a row and is now on 75 life or whatever it is, live hard, whatever it's called right now, right? Like, because I was legitimately fat half a year ago and I'm fixing that. You should be strong and physically fit. And if you have a few extra pounds on you, okay, but not a lot of extra pounds on you. And we jokingly say when somebody's getting a little too heavy around here, you know, just storing calories for the apocalypse. But your health is one of those things that like cannot be replaced. And you're going to be hell just homesteading. You are going to be doing far more physical activity than most sedentary Americans do right now. I mean, just a small hay bale, it weighs 50 pounds. A small square bale weighs 50 pounds. And for some people, that's nothing. For other people, that's all. It's all they can do to move it. Well, and if the truck shows up and there's 300 of them on there, guess what? You're going to move 15,000 pounds of hay today. And you're going to feel it tomorrow. And you still have chores to do tomorrow, too. And you got to dig holes, and you got to split firewood, and you got to mend fence, and you got to lift heavy things, and you got to wrestle sheep so that your wife can shove syringes down their throat and shoot them full of B vitamins. And like, you need to be strong and fit. Not just, and I despise gym muscles. I hate pretty men. Hate pretty men. Because it's basically a form of masturbation. It's basically what it. Oh, you look great. You see these guys, they're cut and they're super jacked and all of that. And it's like, hey man, pick up the other end of this sheet of plywood. And they're like, they can't lift it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how'd you get so pretty? Well, I work out 6 days a week. Doing what?
Yeah.
Like, what are like
super refined exercises that focus on this one muscle and one? No.
Lift heavy shit. Yeah, lift heavy shit. And you're going to be doing a lot more of that. A 5-pound bucket weighs 43 pounds full of water, right? Just go bail water. PJ actually had a good video today on his Patreon about this, about the Army Combat Fitness Test.
Yep.
Like, you need to be fit and strong. It's the ideal state of man, fit and strong. Like, how are you going to rule and subdue when you're worried about whether or not you're going to have a stroke while you're out there working? Nothing against those people out there who have had strokes. So this is not me picking on people. I'm just saying that ideally you need to be fit and strong. And then people will say, well, I can't, I won't, I have this injury, I have that injury. Okay, then figure out how to be the best you that you can be, because excuses are bullshit.
Yeah, neither of us are where we want to be, you know, but you got to set a goal and work towards it. And what you're asking was just like, what's the right goal to set? Yep. You need to be lean enough to be able to do all the things, but you need to be strong enough to be able to do all the things. So it's kind of in between in regards to your question, I believe.
Well, and people have different like body shapes too, right? And different metabolisms. I will never have a runner's body. I won't. That's not me.
Yeah, you're never gonna be a lean machine.
Me lean is 265 pounds. And that's what I've been. My peak physical condition was body weight 265 pounds, benching 3 sets at 7 with 465 pounds on the bar. That's me. That's the way I'm built. I lift heavy shit. I was made to lift heavy shit. I'm never going to be a tap dancer. I'm never going to be a figure skater. I'm never going to be a long distance runner. I'm not built for that. If I'm running, something is terribly wrong, and you should be running too. But I'm not built for that. But I'm built for lifting very heavy things. That's the way the Father put me together. That's what I can do, and that's okay. And so it's also about understanding, as you're trying to, if you're trying to lean out and get strong, what does your body respond to? What are you feeding your body, and what type of exercise works for you, because cardio works for me to a point, and then I have to introduce some type of lifting, ideally something with my legs where I'm getting fire on my quads, where I'm letting up my quads so that that muscle is staying burning for up to 38 hours.
And where it hurts to pee the next day.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah,
You're like,
baby giraffe legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't sit down to pee, but
Okay.
You're not a
Sit
long
down
distance
first.
runner, you're a long distance shooter.
yes, that.
Somebody said built for leg pressing
Skid steers?
yeah.
Yes, built for leg pressing skid steers. That's exactly. I can do one set of one at 10,000 pounds.
Then a cigar is needed.
And then a Cuban has to get handed to me by a special forces medic former through the side panel of the skid steer.
Are you pretty small Cuban?
Are you?
Are you interested in hitting Galatians 3 for people who have the misconception that it does away with the Torah?
I already told
No.
you to search it.
I already have a video on it.
Yeah.
I thought
Just
so. I just
Bear Independent, Galatians, you'll find it.
Not frozen. We did not hook up the heaters.
Dude, I row. It's all leg press and deadlift. Yeah, rowing is like a big deal.
What? No,
Let's see.
it's all right.
Nighttime, Thomas.
We need the big tank. Those little tanks die too quick.
What are the questions we got? Come on, chat.
Big tank?
Those without beards are women and children. Precisely.
Pretty sure you said that recently.
Multiple
I just typed
times.
it.
Oh.
Shalom from New Zealand. What's up, Chris? Thanks for the wisdom. You're
Yeah, we have
welcome.
a couple of New Zealanders.
We do. So yeah, it's just figure out what works for you. And sometimes it might take have you heard of steel shortages? I have. We'll talk about that in a moment. I had one client that I was working with. We were doing business stuff, but he also expressed an interest in working on his fitness, and so we were working on that as well. And it took probably a year to figure out the right combination of supplementation, exercise, and diet for him to start shedding the pounds that he wanted to shed. And then once he got that figured out, it was like, do not deviate. Do this, because nothing else worked. This is what you need to do. Well, it depends. It's not the same 80% for everybody, because for me, it's probably 60%. It's still 60% diet, 35% exercise, and 5% hydration and supplementation. Some people, it doesn't matter what they eat. They could eat 2 sticks of broccoli every day and they still gain weight, and you have to introduce PT into it. So it's very PT driven. It depends a lot on the individual. And so you have to learn for you what the ratios are for you and how you apply those things. And once you find the sweet spot between diet, exercise, hydration, supplementation, and that's working, you keep doing that. Like, I've had people ask me, like, you're still on slow carb after half a year? Like, yeah, it works. Well, you should try this. I'm like, no, this works for me. And like, you might do something different and it works for you, and that's great. If it works for you, then that's what you should do. But not everything works for everybody. That's why there's 1,000 different diets out there. That's why there's hundreds of different exercise programs and techniques and all of that. So, all right, steel shortages. Absolutely. Steel meaning the chainsaw brand. Absolutely, they're having shortages. And the dealers are not getting the product in that they need to get in to meet the demand. Our local, and it's not just localized, but our local steel dealer, I've got a buddy in there, and I was talking to him about it, and they've had people waiting for months for a particular saw. I've been asking him for a year for a steel 500i because I want a 500i. Do I need a 500i? No, I don't need another chainsaw. Much like you don't need another gun. I don't care who you are listening to this right now. They're cool. You probably don't need another gun.
Unless you don't have one.
What?
Unless you don't have one.
Unless you don't have
another
one.
Gun. Yeah.
You need a.
But I don't need another chainsaw, but I want a 500i and can't get them right now.
Like an iPad. You need a iPad. You know, still person.
Somebody said they wanted to know more information about the men's group. It's on Patreon. It's on Mondays. And the reason it's behind the paywall at Patreon is because something very interesting happens when you charge a cover charge. The assholes don't show up.
I was gonna say, if you were here
So,
earlier at the broadcast,
yeah.
you would
Very
understand
good
why.
content. Too.
Bless you, Steve, right? Thank you.
With that $5.
Well, yeah, it's $5, y'all. And if you buy a year up front, you get 2 months for free.
And it's not
So
$5 for that content. It's $5 for all the rest of it.
for everything
Which is
else.
more than compensatory compared to other people on Patreon.
Yep.
And
Somebody else was asking about food storage, and I was going to say that on Patreon there's a lot of. They were asking how much per person per, and I was like, that's
Yep.
all on Patreon.
I also
So
want to clarify because I've seen a couple other people ask about it. I think they may be asking about the men's retreat.
it's full.
That is
Full,
sold
I
out.
believe, yeah.
And it's only offered to the men that are in the men's group on Patreon.
Yeah.
Because they're, I don't, Patreon costs $5 a month. And I was going to say, because they're bought in. So I'll say this, they have a vested interest.
Yeah.
They're showing up, they're studying the word. They're a part of that.
The people in the men's group, as opposed to just Patreon, people in the men's group are involved.
Yeah.
They're not just bought in, they're involved.
Yep.
Well, and there's somebody asked, why is there so much on Patreon? There's not. There's a ton of stuff on YouTube, tons of Bible content,
Yeah.
tons of prepper
Yep.
content, tons of homestead content. But for every one here, there's 2 or 3 of them over there. So
Well, and also because there's certain
assholes. away.
there's certain subjects that I cannot discuss on
Yeah.
YouTube because of the YouTube algorithm. And then also there's things I don't want to say to the broad general audience. There's things that are more
In depth.
they're more in depth and they're more important. It's a different vibe at Patreon. And that's done intentionally. And frankly, the people there are paying for content, and so they get the more in-depth content. I answer questions one-on-one on Patreon. I shoot videos specific. Yeah, your time is worth something. Imagine that. Yeah. So there's a Torah for that as well. A workman is worth their hire. So, you know, and it starts at $5 a month, and that's nothing. So, and as PJ likes to say, because Pastor Joe, his Patreon's $1 a month. And people will show up and they're like, I don't have $1 a month. And he's like, if you don't have $1 a month, you need to not be watching YouTube. You need to go get a job.
Yeah, right.
And I agree. I agree with that.
So, someone was asking, and I think you might be able to give your thoughts on this. In certain more, or certain cities that are less like where we live,
Uh-huh.
they are now starting to relax mandates, and they're kind of. I'd be curious about you. Their question was kind of not clear, but I'd be curious about your thoughts on. Well, should they still come out? Because right now, this yeah, I know, but this area is not as inhospitable as it was a year ago or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago. So, are they?
Gosh, I need to figure out a nice way to say this. So the area you live was untenable because of a political, socio-ideological situation, which all stems from population density. But now it's less terrible because the tide is turning as far as public opinion in that area, and so people aren't being as tyrannical as they were. So should I stay here because there's less tyranny than there was, or should I still continue to go ahead and leave? Babylon is a whore. She's never going to treat you like a wife. Even if for the time being she acts a little bit more like a wife, she's never going to be one. Babylon is a whore. And when you pour your seed into a whore, there is no fruitfulness. And so, much like a workman is worth their hire, your time is worth something. Is it worth you continuing to pour your seed into a whore, expecting blessings and fruitfulness, and being disappointed when it doesn't come? Or should you just cut the cord, rip the Band-Aid off, and accept the fact that she's a whore, man, she's a whore, I need to go someplace where I can bear fruit? I think the answer to that, for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, is self-explanatory. And for those that have no idea what I just said, you're fine right where you're at. We don't need you out here. Straight up, Bear, Russia going to invade or not? You know the answer to that. You've been watching the damn brief or what? How many times I got to say it? My take, and I'm willing to be wrong on this, but my take is Russia is going to take all of Ukraine. They're going to stop at Ukraine. They're not going to go to Poland because that would get NATO involved. And I don't think Putin wants a war with NATO. I'm not sure if NATO doesn't want a war with Russia. But Putin is going to take all of Ukraine. Thank you, Ethan Calhoun. What's up, Tread on this? We were told we could eat outside at one restaurant. See, that's the thing, man. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm pretty bad at other people telling me what I can and can't do. We were told we could. Negative. Now, let's look at the other side of that coin. That business, you know, they have a right to operate their business as they see fit, and that's fine. But here's my concern. All of you whoring in Babylon that talk about freedom and talk about liberty and talk about American values, you cucks are going to go back to those same businesses that bent over for the government the moment that you can. Well, I know she's a whore, but she really does like me. Or I know they really did act that way, and I didn't like that, but they have the best brisket, so I like that restaurant. Yeah, all right, that's fine. Continue playing games, and then the next time it's real, it's really real, you're going to be in an even worse position than you are now. So, I don't like being told what I can and can't do. Now, I will receive wise counsel, but I don't like being told what I can and can't do. Can you find electrical jobs in the country? Bro, I'm talking to you on a laptop connected to the grid. We have electricity here too. In fact, in the country, we could use skilled labor more than in the city. We have fewer options out here. You show up and do a good job and operate with honesty and integrity, you're right. You can write your own check, man.
The key is show up.
Oh my gosh.
Like, as simple as that sounds, you just need to show up. And
Hired.
you'll get money thrown at you. Just show up and perform the work.
Any professional of any service.
Right.
Trash.
Yeah, goes for
electrical,
anything.
Carpentry.
Exactly. You want to start a dumpster company? Just show up. Pick up people's trash. You want to start an electrical business? Just show up. Install outlets.
Get them, babe. Where do we show up at? Not here, Mary. We're good.
What you should not do is start a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah. Don't start a Mexican restaurant. We have plenty of those.
Plenty of those. But show up to everything else.
Work for computer people? Yeah. Let me tell you, a lot of people that make their living in the country aren't necessarily
Country people.
Tech Valley people.
No.
Like,
My job is the computer.
They don't necessarily know the difference between a gigabyte and a terabyte. So yeah.
Somebody, where was that? I missed it. You're good. I got it.
Okay.
Nah, shabba-dabba-da. Uka said hiking and fasting question mark. Hiking plus fasting equals falling over.
Yeah, not a good idea.
So I'm gonna go with no if you can help it.
If you do,
I'm just gonna lay down right here.
if you do any exercise during fasting, you need to be careful.
Well, and what kind of fasting? Intermittent fasting? Sure. You still got some calories in there.
Yeah, 40 days.
Yeah. Or a Daniel fast. That's
Right.
different. You still got calories going in. If you're just like on a water fast and you're gonna go hiking, probably not.
Somebody asked what type of dog Sam is.
He's a murder dog.
Anatolian Pyrenees.
Yep. And he's not little.
No. No. Here's our head.
How's Frito doing? Frito is awesome.
Right. Did the Frito video just go up?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah.
everybody's asking about Frito tonight. So I was like, the video must have just
Alex said, I always have a plan until I watch this channel.
What if you eat the sun? What's that bug out, Bob? Well, if you're like Cracker Turn Tora and you eat the sun, then you're good to go. I'm taking welding right now. What state are you in? I don't know. Pup is adorable. Is Women's Group Wednesday on Patreon? Yes, it is. What's up, B. Orley? He's huge. Caleb, do you have info for prep on an 18-wheeler on Patreon? I have done that video on Patreon and on YouTube. Just use the search bar. Yes, I do. Thank you for the $20 bill, by the way. Milk cow yet? Nope. We just don't have the... We haven't quite committed to having a milk cow yet.
Dairy operation requires a lot of consistent, constant work to keep that milk flowing.
Well, and one of our sisters grew up on a dairy operation, and she's like, that's the last thing I want. And she's like, are you sure you want a milk cow? And I'm like, I like the idea of a milk cow. And she's like, no, you like the idea of milk. And so we just haven't quite made it there yet. Milk goat? No, I hate goats. Goats get smacked in the face with axes.
We're all like bumping up.
I know. It's freaking cold. It's freezing.
Yeah, it's time. We've been on for 3 hours.
86.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for supporting the show. Do the bucket thing. Use your promo code Bear Nation. Thanks for supporting our small businesses. Hey Bear, is there a class in refugetraining.com?
Yes, there is. Several.
Hey,
Several to choose from.
buy 2 buckets, use promo code BUCKET. You get 25 bucks off 2 buckets. They're going to go out of stock when I pimp them on YouTube. And see, there's layers to this onion, right? Like people who show up consistently to the live stream, you guys are near the cream of the crop. So that in my mind, and I guess it's depth of relationship. It's not monetary, it's depth of relationship. There's the patrons, then there's the constant live streamers, and I appreciate you guys very much as well. And then there's like the casual watcher who watches a video on YouTube. And when I post that video for the casual bear watcher, they're going to go out of stock. And so I told you I was going to do a bucket thing. That's the bucket thing that I'm doing right now. You can use promo code BUCKET. You get $25 off 2 buckets at refugemedical.com. And you can always use Bear Nation for free shipping at refugemedical.com. And
So you choose your level of involvement.
there you go. That's right. Yep. You want to go deeper? The deep stuff's on Patreon. If you like this kind of conversational stuff, we have this on YouTube. And then, frankly, there's a lot of excellent information on YouTube as well. But the much deeper stuff is on Patreon. So anyway, bless y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us for 3 hours. Shalom, everybody.